Warrior Lore. Chapter 845, Scared to Death. Chapter 845, Scared to Death. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ching-chung, don't do this. Zhuofan's gone. He's not here. Chu Ching-chung was frantic in her search and cried even as Shui Ruohua and Danner hugged her. Tearing up at her pain, the others shook their heads. This is called being obsessed. Chu Ching-chung did not listen to reason, shaking her head and pointing at the flashing ring with joy. Senior sister, he's still alive and here too. Just look, only we have this pair of rings, and they only react when the other is around. This is his keepsake. He's definitely here. Chu Ching-chung was desperate in convincing everyone of this reality, but they only saw it as her lying to herself, wanting to believe with every fiber that Zhuofan was in this world. Ching-chung, I may not know that ring, but we have scanned this place for 100 miles around, yet there's no one here but us. Elder Du soothed. Chu Ching-chung bit her lip, not giving up. No, he's close by. It's just that you can't find him. No one can find him with his skills. Only I, as his wife, know in my being that he is here. That's enough, Chu Ching-chung. Elder O shouted in anger, a vein popping on his forehead. We're Genesis stage experts, yet you're saying we can't even find some brat? We can find something as small as an ant, let alone him. Since we did not find him, then he isn't here. How long are you going to continue this crazy act? Glaring at him, Chu Ching-chung still called out Zhuofan's name. Zhuofan, it's me, your wife. Please come to me. Don't just stand there. Take her away. Elder O's patience was at an end as he stared at Wu Qingqiu bobbing his head. He went to Chu Ching-chung with a sigh. Junior sister Ching-chung, there's something off about the ring. I'm sure of it. Zhuofan is gone now, and there's no way he can be here. Let's just get you back to Double Dragon Manor and get some rest. No, the ring never lied to me. He's here. Struggling with all she had, Chu Ching-chung kept crying out, Zhuofan. In his sealed space, Zhuofan gnashed his teeth and shut his eyes. Even though tears gathered at the corners, he knew he shouldn't have met her because he could not take the parting. Ching-chung. The heart prevailed in the end, and Zhuofan spoke in a low tone. All shuddered at the heavy tone, unable to overcome their shock. Chu Ching-chung was overjoyed. Zhuofan, is it really you? I knew you're alive. Is Zhuofan actually alive? The elders looked around frantically. With him alive, the case of the sect's destruction has a solution. Yet no amount of searching helped. The laughter came then. Ha ha ha. 3 imps trying to scan with your souls and face of yours truly? How pitiful. With a whoosh, black thunderflame erupted from that space. As high as a kilometer and spreading for miles and miles, the black thunderflame took the shape of a giant with golden eyes. The flame within like 2 erupting volcanoes, the sheer dread coming off him slammed into the 3 Genesis stage elders. They shuddered and felt like mere insects that could be stomped at any time. All craned their necks to watch the black fire giant. Feeling their knees going soft at its power, Yi Lin fared no better despite knowing the truth behind it. He gulped. What is this? Did the 9 Serenities Sovereign descend? This power was at the level of his master, and only the 10 sovereigns wielded it. Everyone knows 9 Serenities Sovereign is missing, so how can he suddenly be in the mortal domain? Yi Lin was too shocked to make any sense of it when a sacred beast inheritor was scared. Much couldn't be said about the rest. Looking white as paper and gasping for breath, the 3 Genesis stage elders were overcome with fear, looking at the huge face gazing at them with scorn. Ha ha ha. Weren't you great before, you weaklings? Did the cat get your tongue? Senior. Elder Du's shaky voice barely got a word out as he bowed. May I know who Senior is? The 2 golden balls of fire flashed as he cackled. Ha ha ha. Mistaking respect for fear. I've heard this saying many times. But weren't you 3 pipsqueaks shouting about wanting to see me? You won't believe it until you see it, right? Well, here I am. Do you believe it now? Overlord 9 Serenities? SSS. The elders gasped in shock. Elder O, who had analyzed Overlord 9 Serenities' power just now, almost soiled his pants. The sheer power rolling off this giant was enough to rob them of all of their courage. They knew now Universal Righteous Sect's demise wasn't made by borrowing power, but by unquestionable might. Overlord 9 Serenities had never been seen before, but now they felt it all too well. The destructive power he wielded. The trio fell to their knees on the spot. Senior, please forgive our foolish words of ignorance. Ha ha, brats, do you take me for someone as petty as you? The black giant mocked. The Missy has gone against your words and contradicted you. Yet you wanted to attack a helpless woman? Humph, who knows how pissed off I'd be over the last 300 millennium if I were as petty as you. SSS, gasping for the third time. They all looked in shock. Oh hell, 300 damn thousand years? What the hell is he? Even the oldest sect in Western lands is barely 10,000 years old. But this guy is 300 times that? For crying out loud. He's an old freak through and through. What invincible sword. He's nothing to this guy. No wonder he's so amazing and overpowered. Wonder what stage he's at. Definitely above Genesis stage. The trio broke out in sweat, scared to death from even moving, ignoring them. The black giant stared down at Chu Ching-chung with a sigh. He waved and a flickering ring floated down. Ching-chung, may I call you that? Is this what you were looking for? The ring rested in Chu Ching-chung's palm, staring at the keepsake belonging to Zhua Fan. This is Zhua Fan's. Chu Ching-chung looked at the giant, wanting to ask more but too afraid to know the truth. The giant spoke. Child, forget about him. He won't be coming back. Chu Ching-chung's fists shook. I had founded Devil Mountain 300,000 years ago, when no one could stand up to me. Recalling ancient memories, the black giant spoke. But after 200,000 years, I grew tired, focusing on understanding Tao and entered seclusion, vanishing from the world. As it happened, in my rare travels in between across the world, I have met with disciples worthy of note. Zhua Fan is one such disciple. To understand Tao, one must live in the world, then rise above it. Most disciples do not roam the lands, but Zhua Fan was still young, and so I let him go before taking him back to dwell on the experiences. I thought the skills I passed on to him were enough to safeguard him, but never have I imagined he'd be tricked by some rotten people. This is life, this is fate. The black giant sighed in mourning. The elders broke out in sweat. It's obvious now that it was revenge, but it's not like we can do anything to him either. Didn't you hear him? He was already at the top of the world 300,000 years ago, stopping all infighting before withdrawing. He's on a different level than our petty wars. All of Western Land's power won't be enough to even scratch him. Not to mention Devil Mountain isn't made up of one man. There's still plenty of disciples. If they come out, what would happen to the world? The elders were scared to death. Looking into this case any further would poke the hornet's nest. Not even the invincible sword would be so stupid. We can't disturb her, yet Sir wants to return? Wu Qingqiu sighed. Eldero sputtered. Cut the crap. Who said anything about dragging her back? I'm telling you to carry this lady carefully and tend to her health. She has to recover. Ugh. Everyone made weird faces. What's with the elder's mood flipping like that? One minute he snapped when Chu Ching-chung contradicted him, and now he... Eldero rolled his eyes. Are you fools? Or what? Didn't you hear, Senior? Chu Ching-chung is seen as his disciple's wife and now under Devil Mountain's protection. If anything happens to her while in Double Dragon Manor, then the Senior will take it out on us. On the other hand, with the Senior backing us, not even invincible sword will sound scary. That makes the young lady the brightest gem we have that we must nurture. Eldero was firm, with the other elders nodding. Now they understood and agreed with him. These elders are damn practical at least. Yilin realized why Zhua Fan assumed the role of Overlord Nine Serenities. To protect Chu Ching-chung, he witnessed Chu Ching-chung going against the elder, and while not able to defend her in person, he used Overlord Nine Serenities to give a pretentious speech and raise her value in the elder's eyes. It was the same as looking after her while being worlds apart. He figured that no matter what danger might befall Western lands, none would touch Chu Ching-chung. Yilin sighed and said, Elder, the case of the four sects' destruction now has a resolution. But there's still one problem. Overlord Nine Serenities has taken revenge for his disciple, but what about beast taming sect? Let's just lump it in as well. Elder Du waved. Senior had us so scared there's no way we'll still be looking into beast taming sect. Since it and Zhua Fan have grudges, we'll say it's the master looking out for his disciple since we can't look into it now. That settles it. Yi-Lin nodded, grinning inside. That'll be a perfect closure. They took the unconscious Chu Qingcheng and left the area, with the elders taking the lead, not wanting to stay a moment longer after they were gone. Zhuofan came out of his space with a pained look. It was his last goodbye to Chu Qingcheng. Elder brother, that was one high-class act. You got us soiling ourselves from fear. I even thought Nine Serenity's sovereign was here. Zhuofan frowned and turned to see Yi-Lin coming back. Zhuofan asked, "Why are you here?" There's still some things I don't get. I had left with the old coots then, but I have come back for elder brother's wisdom. Yi-Lin bowed. Zhuofan walked away. Don't feel like it. How cold, after bringing sister-in-law, so you could see her one last time before leaving Western lands. Zhuofan paused and sighed. What is it then? Just how did you turn into a demon emperor and even got those 3 Genesis stage experts scared to death? Yi-Lin beamed. Zhuofan spoke. Easy, a grain of truth in a sea of lies. The figure was an illusion I made, but it's not enough to scare those 3 by itself. But since they were wounded and weaker, they couldn't sense properly. Also, the black giant contained a trace of the destructive thunder flame. But what sold it was the eyes, the remaining 2 dragon breath pills. Those held the power of dragon ancestor, of unquestionable power. This way, truth mixed with lies to make the fear they felt undoubtedly real. Amazing! You're one shrewd guy to not only defeat me but achieve this as well. Yi-Lin gave a thumbs up, ignoring him. Zhuofan left, but paused again soon after. I'm leaving Western lands. Make sure that in the Double Dragon Manor, Qingcheng. Don't worry, with me around, sister-in-law will be safe. Yi-Lin declared. Zhuofan grinned and vanished from the lit-up night by the blazing inferno. Chapter 847. Explanation. Chapter 847. Explanation. Proofreader. Papatonks. Exalted, Overlord Nine Serenities was at least 300 meters tall, reaching the heavens and stepping on the earth, even without being able to see him fully. He was covered in black flames as they swallowed the skies, his eyes burning like the midday sun, around 10 meters big and unleashing a terrible light. In the heaven-reaching pavilion of the Double Dragon Manor, the 3 elders returned with their teams of disciples to report, now kneeling before the exalted double dragons. The fear had yet to recede from their features ever since that encounter. The exalted looked at them, then at each other with dumb looks. Exalted He Ran was astonished, finding it hard to speak. 300 meters tall, with eyes as big as 10 meters. You call that a man? Ugh. The 3 elders recoiled and shook their heads. They saw this reaction coming, since not even they would believe an old monster like him would still be around without having borne witness. Exalted sir, we saw it with our own eyes. We'd never lie about this. Sirs can ask the kids too. They were there as well, under the expert's overbearing aura. Elder sighed. We saw the universal righteous sect being razed to the ground, replaced by a scorching inferno. The senior's power is beyond anything we know, a true monster cultivating for 300,000 years. There may not even be anyone to challenge him in the world, not even Invincible Sword. However, Devil Mountain has secluded itself, with its disciples no longer roaming the lands. If such an ancient and outstanding sect would have stayed around, that Invincible Sword wouldn't even have had the chance to show himself. The exalted were skeptical still. This was a tough pill to swallow. How can the world hide such an overbearing existence? But seeing the group so flustered and honest, then recalling Zhuofan's obscene power, the one to teach him had to be a freak in itself. The exalted shared a nod, choosing to trust it somewhat that Overlord Nine Serenities might not be such a literal giant, since there were skills to make one look big, though he had a giant's power to shake 3 Genesis stage experts like nothing. That made looking further into Devil Mountain's vendetta a complex issue now that was better put off. No one wanted to kick the hornet's nest. Exalted He Ran waved his hand. Since no other area is behind this incident, it shouldn't affect Western lands, so we'll let it go for now. With 5 sects gone, they were asking for it to be destroyed by messing with the wrong man. We don't need to stir it further and plunge Western lands into more mess either. Elder do, inform every sect of this, that it was not a conflict with another area. You're also to warn them, to keep to themselves and not run amok. Who knows if there isn't a second Devil Mountain out there? Yes, sir. I'll be right on it. Elder Du bowed and withdrew, exalted by May frowned. So the 5 sects killed themselves through their actions. But what are we to do now about the empty seats? With the Western lands so vast, with just 4 out of 9 remaining, it will leave a great vacuum across the board. It may even prove to be a weakness for others to exploit. Exalted Hay sighed. We can't touch Devil Mountain, but now Western lands has suffered heavy losses, affecting its stability. The people below sighed as well. It wasn't as simple as having Western lands' power cut short with the loss of those sects, but also its control over it. This only grew worse since a Superior 3 sect and a Middle 3 sect were included. A Superior 3 sect didn't just have some mere venerables, but oversaw a large empire as well as dozens of other neighboring nations, watching them for any infiltration from other areas, while Heaven Trailing sect was the last Middle 3 sect, located around a third-rate empire like Tianyu. It still overlooked the dozens of other nations around. Adding to that was the Beast Taming sect being gone as well, leaving no one in the Chuanrong Empire. At least a fifth of Western lands was now out of the 9 sects' control. It was a severe blow to Western lands' stability. Western lands sects didn't just share control, but also danger. The chances were high that the central area might take advantage of this breach, crushing Western lands' force like nothing as it invaded. This was the Exalted's greatest fear. Elder O pondered before speaking. Exalted sirs, this land might be empty, but not that big, with only universal righteous sects territory on the large side. Why don't we just split it among the other 4 sects? Absolutely not. Exalted Hay shot it down. The domain of every sect is based on strength, on what they can take. Not having the strength aside, the sheer manpower required to be sent will be too much to get all that land under control. Don't forget the demon scheming sect's lesson. Elder O shook and hung his head in shame. How could I forget such a crucial point? The 9 sects had stabilized the Western lands, but that was due to their hostility among each other and not unity. When one betrayed, the other 8 destroyed it. The same applied to every sect. The group held together under the same principle, watching each other like hawks. If one betrayed the sect, he'd be culled on the spot, but once a faction rose from a sect and settled outside, you could be sure it would grow and fight the original. Especially now, when the lands need support and help to prevent the outside enemy from creeping in. Xiaoyue was rubbed the wrong way when he was kicked off his chair and even brought outsiders to rebel. This situation was even worse, as when a sect would be split, internal discord would rise. Eldero was sweating buckets, cursing his loud mouth for such a rotten idea. He almost sent Western lands to its doom. Exalted Hay knew it wasn't on purpose and only frowned at the problem. Wu Qingqiu bowed. Exalted sirs, I might have a proposal, though unsure if I should speak. There's no harm in speaking. Exalted Hay urged. Wu Qingqiu began. The 9 sects overlook their own domain, safeguarding Western lands. This makes it so only those people of every sect know their domains the best. Calling them local thugs isn't wrong in this sense. The Exalted looked at him hard. Exalted sirs, since 5 thugs died, rather than take one from the other 5, it's better if we pick a new thug from the empty places to defend Western lands. You mean? The Exalted heard Wu Qingqiu's proposal and spoke at the same time. Foster a new power to make up for the empty 5 sects. Wu Qingqiu nodded. But what group in the secular world has what it takes to take on the duty of a sect? Exalted, I know of one that can take such a burden. Wu Qingqiu's eyes shone with determination. In our journey to Tianyu Empire, I discovered the Luo Alliance, filled with capable people, experiencing swift growth and looking out for others. Among their men there are also experts from the demon scheming sect that the Alliance took in. With Double Dragon Manor's assistance, they are certain to grow even faster, to support Western lands' peace. Exalted Hay's brow shook, then looked at the rest. What do you think? Agreed. 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 Yilin, Yenimo, Wen Tao, and the other disciples spoke together. The Exalted were curious about this. What's their connection to Luo Alliance to side with it? Then again, since the Luo Alliance could gain such outstanding geniuses' favor, it shows it's capable. Exalted Hay turned to Elder O. Look into it. See if they are worthy and help them. This shall be Western land's fortune. Yes, sir. Elder O bowed and carried the order. The meeting went through some minor matters before ending Wu Qingqiu, and the disciple flew for a waterfall when he smiled. Having secured the Luo clan a seat among the sects, Brother Zhua's spirit should be pleased in heaven. I don't know about that, just that I can't let my rival down. Yinamo sighed and shook his head. Let's tell Chu Qingqing the news as well. It should help her ease her sadness. Hard to tell. She doesn't look like the type to chase glory. Yilin sighed. Yinamo smirked. Hey, Chu Qingqing doesn't like you much, so what are you doing coming as well? Her not wanting to see me is one thing, and another for me to go to her. What's it to you anyway? Yilin huffed. Wu Qingqiu chuckled. Don't fight now. We're here. The group landed in an elegant yard around a clear pond. They were only greeted by Shui Ruohua and Danner. Looking lost and scared, what's wrong? Wu Qingqiu rushed over and then froze. A graceful figure leaned on the bed with a heartbroken look, her silver hair fluttering in the breeze coming from the window. Chapter 848. Back to Allbeast Mountain Range. Chapter 848. Back to Allbeast Mountain Range. Proofreader. Papatonks. Shriek. Roar. The howls and cries of animals of all kinds shook the forest. The densest area in the Tianyu Empire, while also the most dangerous, was Allbeast Mountain Range. Any average person setting foot in it was tantamount to suicide, with even the stronger ones not faring any better. Going deeper, rumor had it that the range held some true supreme beasts that no cultivator could defeat or escape its claws over the ages. It gave this range the thickest air of mystery humanity had yet to unravel, even though people trekked it now and then, or maybe there had been some, only to never escape its domain. With the truth now, though, a man in a black robe was walking casually deeper in, with only the spiritual beasts howling and growling as company. In the end, there were always some ignorant beasts baring their fangs and pouncing on the man's flesh. One got pretty close to him, but the spiritual beast's eyes blanked out, slumping dead. The man, though, went on without a care, his smile vile. The sudden weird intruder stirred up all the spiritual beasts in the Allbeast Mountain Range. Some savage ones scrounged up their courage to challenge this interloper, only to fare no better than the first foolish creature. It went all the way to the 6th level spiritual beasts. Only after 3 7th-grade spiritual beasts fell dead at his feet did the beasts of Allbeast Mountain Range finally know fear and the demonic power of this man. As if on cue, the beasts scattered, the birds fled, leaving no one but the interloper in this wild environment. Finally, with no beast around to growl, the Allbeast Mountain Range's true king descended. Who are you? How dare you venture deep into the Allbeast Mountain Range? With a reverberating roar, the man looked up, and the huge shadow bearing down on him, a 3-headed bird, looked at him in fury. On its forehead was an azure flame, flickering around. Snickering, the man said, 3-headed crow, it's been a while. You know me? The 3-headed crow started. The man in black lifted his head and showed his smile. Forgot me already? Remember when you took me and young Sanzi here to see Senior Kuenpeng? Sir Zhua? The 3-headed crow was stunned, then landed with a bow. Forgive me for not welcoming you, Sir Zhua. You honor us with your presence. I only heard there was a human making a scene and was unaware it was you. Zhuafan waved him off. Ha ha, it's fine. I only came to see Kuenpeng. Since you're here, take me there. Well? The 3-headed crow looked conflicted. Sir Zhua, 1,000 pardons, but I need to inform Master first of your sudden arrival. Please wait here for a moment. No beast will harm you with the Master's azure flame protecting you. Zhuafan raised an eyebrow. Hearing the scorn, the 3-headed crow sounded respectful, but it was just veiled mockery. What he meant by Master's azure flame protecting you was in fact telling him he was nothing without it. How else would you have had an easy time coming here? You'd have long been a spiritual beast's meal by now. Don't get cocky. He's clearly mocking me for only coming here thanks to Kuenpeng's power. He couldn't be more wrong. Zhuafan squinted. 3-headed crow, I've met Senior Kuenpeng before, so why make it so hard? Just take me there. Can't do. Allbeast Mountain Range has rules. To see Master, all must be announced first. You can only see him with his permission. Master would otherwise punish me for bringing you unannounced. The 3 heads shook. His stance clear. Zhuafan sighed. That's such a waste. Going back and forth when I'll meet the old guy anyway. How about this? You take me, and I'll take full responsibility. Just say that I forced you. You? The three-headed crow cracked up. His eyes shone with disdain. Please, and here I thought humans have brains. Why sound so dumb then? I'm a great 9th-level spiritual beast, and you think you can force me? You'd have a better chance with any other spiritual beast, thanks to the azure flame. But that treasure won't work on me. I have it as well. Forcing me? What a joke. Ha ha ha. It was plain to Zhuo Fan what he was thinking, so he smiled while his left eye shone with the black thunder flame, unleashing its dreaded aura. Hu. As if smacked by a mountain, the three-headed crow slammed into the ground, its azure flame flickering to stay alive before dying out. The 6 beady eyes widened in shock. The greatest gentle flame, chaos flame, belonging to the Lord of the Sacred Beasts, the head of 5 great sacred beasts, was just destroyed. How? It was one of the 5 greatest powers born out of chaos, so how could it just cave? The three-headed crow refused to believe what happened, but looking back at the blackness burning in Zhuo Fan's eye made his heart shudder. It felt like staring death in the face. This human has the power to kill sacred beasts. The three-headed crow was smart enough to figure all that out instantly, its feathers standing on end, sweat trickling down with a nasty snicker. Zhuo Fan stepped on the still shaking spine. Now you can raise your head high and declare to Kunpeng that I forced you. The head shook in fear. This overlord of the Allbeast mountain range, in the 9th level, was scared to death. Then let's go. Zhuo Fan's right eye closed and the aura faded without terror seeping into its bones. The three-headed crow slowly got its feet under him and took flight without a peep, spreading its 500-mile-long wings as he flew to Kunpeng. The man and beast arrived in 15 minutes. The familiar cave appearing in view. Like a beast ready to swallow you whole, the three-headed crow landed next to it, since he couldn't just bring someone unannounced, having already defied his rules. Not like he had a choice. Not when the human was stronger. The three-headed crow braced and shouted, Master, Sir Zhou has come to see you. Dad's here? The first to shout was a cheerful youth, followed by a flash of red. Gu Santong shot out of the cave and into Zhuo Fan's arms. Dad, you came at last. Zhuo Fan softened and smiled. Young Sanzi, I didn't come just to see you. Your old man will always be by your side. Really? Gu Santong cheered. Great. Dad will stay with me. Awesome. Dad is. A bright laughter announced Kunpeng's buffed body coming out as well. Ha ha, brat. Are you so free to see me? You didn't even drop a hint you're coming. I'd have sent the crow to bring you. Thank you for that. Zhuo Fan nodded. Kunpeng sounded polite, but Zhuo Fan read in his eyes a grudge. What kind of king has people coming and going as they please? Chapter 849. Things changed. Chapter 849. Things changed. Proofreader. Papatonks. Zhuo Fan jumped down with Gu Santong in his arms and gently patted three-headed crow's warm plumage, like a good pet he was. Thanks for dropping me. You can go now. Ugh. Kunpeng's smile crumbled as his face shook. His cold eyes stared straight at the crow with fury. Three-headed crow was Kunpeng's subordinate, his right hand, obvious by the chaos flame he loaned as things stood now. Even this trusted aide went against him, bringing an outsider without his approval. To top it off, he listened to another's orders. If that wasn't betrayal, what was? Zhuo Fan had done it to undermine his authority, to poach his aide as the king of beasts. Anger was a given. Alas, Zhuo Fan was a distant guest that had yet to push things too far, not enough to warrant conflict. The same couldn't be said about the three-headed crow. He directed killing intent towards the crow. Releasing bloodlust, the three-headed crow shuddered, tearing up in fear as the 3 heads looked hurt. Master, it's not me. He made me. Not like Kunpeng would believe him. His mind was set on dealing with the 3 heads and how he was going to vent. Senior Kunpeng, I've come too suddenly and I'm imposing on you. I had forced the 3-headed crow to take me before informing you. Do forgive me. Looking between one angry and one bitter face, Zhuo Fan chuckled and sighed. Speaking at the perfect moment, whether intentionally or not, Kunpeng was outraged, not bothering to mask it as he cursed inside. He's under me and I can do what I want with him. What are you doing helping him out? Since he still had use for Zhuo Fan, he had to rein it in. He let out a long breath, Pushing the anger down and speaking in a calm tone, Gu Santong got ahead of him, though. What's so bad about it? Dad's one of us. Wherever I am, it's Dad's home. No point of informing when he's just coming home anyway. Right, Uncle? Yeah, ha ha ha. Kuan-peng turned to Gu Santong with a weird look, then let out a dry laugh. Three-headed crow, listen here. Zhuofan is one of us, so he can come see me anytime. Understood? Kuan-peng's smile turned into gnashed teeth at the end. Glaring at three-headed crow, Gu Santong was oblivious to the subtleties, taking it at face value. Kuan-peng was just teaching his men to look after Zhuofan. Zhuofan knew how to read between the lines, though. Sour since his own man was listening to another's orders. Zhuofan shook his head. The three-headed crow felt victim here, bobbing his heads. Don't just stand there looking dumb. Stand aside and wait for Zhuofan to leave. Glaring at him one last time, Kuan-peng found three-headed crow even more of an eyesore. Three-headed crow didn't make a peep. It just sat there at the side. Like a good subordinate, Gu Santong asked, Uncle, you're looking mighty angry today. What's up? Nothing, just a toothache. Kuan-peng waved his hand. Zhuofan almost cracked up. Toothache? You're a sacred beast, for crying out loud. Immune to cold weapons and the world's elements. Yet you're telling me you got a toothache? Are you alluding to something here, that maybe I pissed you off? Gu Santong frowned. Even for him this reason was hard to accept, but he didn't push it. He returned to hugging Zhuofan's neck. Uncle, you can just have the bird leave. He doesn't need to send him off because Dad said he'll always be by my side. He ain't leaving. Oh, REA-what? Kuan-peng jerked around at Zhuofan and shouted, Is young Sanzi right? You're staying as well? What about your affairs? What about mine? Aren't you sorting them out? Staring at his shocked face, Zhuofan smiled. Senior Kuan-peng, before I answer, let me tell you my latest exploits. I've already completed half of your task. Not long ago, I met with the decimating dragon ancestor. Shuddering, Kuan-peng looked amazed. What did he say? Everything, including the events ages ago, as well as my situation. Zhuofan smiled and then sighed. Kuan-peng gasped and nodded, looking serious. Since you know everything, what will you do? What else is there but being on your side? Hunted as I am as well? Zhuofan looked lonely. Kuan-peng, thanks to Sir's aid, I have gone from nothing to having everything. Wife, son, friends, family, but it's also due to you that I had to cast them all out. I just don't know if I should hate you or thank you. Kuan-peng eyed him coldly. When we met, you had nothing, and the same applies now. What changed? Ha ha ha. Anyway, to have everything, you need to keep your life and be the last victor. I'm not asking you to like me, nor to be grateful, because we're all in this together. Me and the other sacred beasts can't escape, and we'll need you to do some things for us. So when you said you wanted to find Heavenly Sovereign's remnant and get his inheritance, I knew you'd be one of us. Ha ha ha, just like I thought. You didn't let me down and survive Lightning Canyon. A true disciple of 9 serenities. Also, did that old fire dragon have a solution out of this? Zhuofan sighed and explained. Kuan-peng lit up and nodded. I see. So the mortal domain has 8 large gaps, the whirlwind tunnel. Ha ha ha. The old fire dragon's cell has been thrown around yet still found such a secret to help us escape. Far better than me, stuck here in Allbeast mountain range. Oh, since there are gaps in the mortal domain, then Heavenly Sovereign's divine eye of the void isn't perfect. If we unite, winning might very well be in sight, boy. Live on well. We'll just might make it in the end. Ha ha ha. Patting Zhuo's shoulder, Kuan-peng laughed like he was the winner. Zhuofan wasn't in the mood to join him. This was a grudge since ancient times. Yet now he got dragged into this mess. He even had to forsake everything. Zhuofan's heart was in pain. He sighed and left with Gu Santong. Young Sanzi, you're coming with me now. We'll never separate again. Wait, where are you going? Kuan-peng shouted. Zhuofan spoke. I need young Sanzi's help to deal with Dragon Ancestor's task. Since he's in this mess as well, I don't need to push him away. The task he gave you should be much easier with just you alone. If in trouble, you can always send me a message for help, so there's no need to take the child with you. It's better for him to stay here and learn from me. Maybe Qilin will be needed later, for the 5 great sacred beasts to unite. Kuan-Ping squinted. Zhua Fan sneered at his words. Teach? I know exactly how Sundering Thunder Phoenix died. I don't want young Sanzi to die without even realizing, just so you could take his power. There's no way I'll leave my son in such danger. Gu Santong looked lost. Young Sanzi, come with me if you believe me. I'll explain it later. Zhua Fan spoke. Gu Santong looked deep in his eyes, then nodded. Kuan-Ping's eyelid twitched, and he mocked. You think you can just leave, Zhua Fan? Where do you think you are? Your backyard. Maybe not before, but now, ha ha ha, things have changed. Zhua Fan pointed, and a huge golden flame appeared. Kuan-Ping gasped. Old Dragon's dragon breath pill? The three-headed crow jerked back in fear. Humph. You think it can hold me? Kuan-Ping sneered. It may be his strongest attack, but I'm no weakling either. We've been fighting for ages with none coming out on top. You think you can scare me? You're not. Zhua Fan had a vile smirk. Oh, yeah. You sacred beasts never had a winner amongst yourselves. Dragon Ancestor can't beat you, so of course Dragon Breath Pill won't work. Though that was before. Kuan-Ping, remember why you can't leave Allbeast Mountain Range. Shuddering, Kuan-Ping's face fell. Yes, you need the aura of the beasts to hide your own. The Dragon Breath Pill can't take you, but it will destroy Allbeast Mountain Range. I wonder if you'll manage to survive when Heavenly Sovereign finds you out and comes to kill you. The azure flame eyes shook and Kuan-Ping sighed. Clever brat, just take young Sanzi. But are you confident you can keep him safe? He's a sacred beast offspring, but has yet to mature. Many in the mortal domain have the strength to end him. Not before, but now I can. He took back the dragon breath pill, and Zhua Fan's left eye shone with the black thunder flame, because I am his father. He took Gu Santong's hand and left. Kuan-Ping watched in shock. What was that? The three-headed crow rushed over. Master, he did indeed force me to bring him here. He looked from the crow to the distant Zhua Fan. Kuan-Ping sighed. I see. So things have indeed changed. Chapter 850, Central Area. Chapter 850, Central Area. Proofreader, Papatonks. The Central Area, strongest of them all, and ruled by a single nation, Sword Star Empire. While the entire world lay fragmented, the Central Area was the most united, filled with experts. While ethereal stage experts ran things everywhere else, here, they were errand boys just to earn a living. To the point the guards and patrols in cities were mostly made up of ethereal stage experts. This came as a shock to any cultivator from the other areas. This was a land where one nation ruled, where one power held control, not like theirs, split apart in bits and pieces. Since ethereal stage experts were treated as such, that made all the cultivators below be nothing more than waiters and other odd jobs. So while the outsiders might be seen as young masters in their homes, here, there were strong people at every step, enough to squash them. All they could do was keep their nose down, and not make a scene. Among them was one odd pair of father and son. The days of being brash, obnoxious, killing whenever and running away when they wanted were long gone. This wasn't their home, and they had to be cautious, especially when their lives were on the line. Halt. Where do you come from? The gate had a huge board over it, engraved with the words Flying Cloud City. All flying cultivators were landing before it. Making a nice queue to enter the city with calm and order. On each side of the gate stood two grizzled old men, releasing their mighty power for all to feel and declare. They were rare ethereal stage experts in other areas, but a dime a dozen here. They were given orders to check all newcomers. Something must have happened for the situation to be so tense. A man in black robe, pulling along a cute and adorable 7-year-old boy, approached the guards with a bow. Seniors, I come from Western lands. We've been hunted down by an enemy and forced to escape here. I hope seniors will help us. Hunted by an enemy? The two squinted and nodded with contempt. Ha ha, 5th layer radiant stage, and with a child dragging you back. Of course you be hunted. Just go, not like a weakling like you can cause anything. Yes, thank you, seniors. Bobbing his head, the man in black rushed in and dragged the boy. Running, even the two watched the pair with derision. This is being weak, unable to rise above their station all their life, right? Those bugs will soon find the Central Area much harder than Western lands. Ha ha ha. The two mocked at their expense and continued with the queue. But then they felt a sudden chill in this clear weather that made them shudder like there was some savage beast looming behind them. Swishing around, all they saw was a busy street, with people going to and fro. The two looked around in doubt. Did you feel that, old man? Yeah, like some viper was staring me down, about to take my life. You too? Yeah. The other old man nodded, but then he shook his head. Must be our imagination. It's only been a month since Lord Dongfang slaughtered hundreds of soul harmony experts, driving fear into us. Now everyone is in a panic, but there's no way those thieves would do anything in broad daylight. Especially not targeting nobodies like us. Ha ha ha. Yeah, sometimes weakness is good. At least those that are strong will ignore us, the other one said with a dry laugh. Then he turned serious and went on with his job. Ironic how they already forgot that just now they laughed at the father and son's weakness in a dark corner of the city. The man in the black robe held the child's mouth without budging. When the gate situation calmed down, he eased a breath and let go the child through a fit, roaring, "Dad, did those old coots look down on me? This hasn't happened since I came out the first time. If you hadn't stopped me, I'd have their heads in my hands right now. If you'd have done that, then we'd be doomed as well." The man in black smiled. Zhuofan was like a totally different man now. His eyes looked bright, his face calm, curbing his evil tendencies to the max. Patting Gu Santong's head, Zhuofan smiled. This isn't Western lands. Flying Cloud City is the center of one of the central area's 9 domains. The ruler is one dreadful expert. Meeting him will make it very hard for us. What's there to fear? Don't you have Dragon Ancestors' Dragon Breath Pill? Just blow it in his face and he's toast. Gu Santong stuck out his head while shouting. Zhuofan sighed. There are only 2 Dragon Breath Pills left. I don't want to use them unless absolutely necessary. In the mortal domain, a treasure like Dragon Breath Pill is of utmost value. Especially that. Zhuofan's eyes were firm. People have to be strong themselves to be safe. I don't want to ruin my cultivation with tools. That's why these past 2 years you trained in that true self-art thingy, regressing your cultivation. Gu Santong pouted. Zhuofan shook his head. True self-art is an art for the heart, not to set my cultivation back. Looking weak is just that, appearances, when in fact, it brings me close to self. If not for the 2 years spent training in it, who knows how broken my heart would be in this situation. Thoughts give birth to demons and saints. Maybe I'd have already sunk into a demonic state by now. Unable to see the surface, my true cultivation easily reached the 5th layer ethereal stage, all thanks to true self-art's calming effect. Elder Yuan truly was my master. Seeing his vibrant eyes, Gu Santong sighed, knowing he was recalling the people he forsook. But then he pointed at his neck and grumbled, "What's with this golden locket then? It's hideous, like I'm some wee child." Aren't you?" Zhuofan pinched his cute cheeks, teasing, "Young Sanzi, any parent would want to see their child grow up healthy. I made the Everlife locket myself, with all my love. You have to wear it." Gu Santong's face twitched. "Dad, but I'm 300 years old, not some kid. You think I don't know what it does? It just hides my strength. I'm in the 6th layer ethereal stage, but with this thing on, I look like a defenseless 7-year-old. All the way here, everyone's been pinching and ruffling my hair so much. I'd be dead if you didn't stop them. Hold it in for now. You're just too freaky. Have you seen any other ethereal stage kid around?" Zhuofan waved his hand. "Exposing your strength would be the same as a jester, getting everyone's attention in the central area. How are we supposed to work then?" "I know that. Dad made the demonic treasure to hide my aura, but couldn't you have made it smaller and not so flashy? It's humiliating wearing this huge thing. Yes, you're so precious." Zhuofan cut his grumbling short. "Look at your childish and cute face. Isn't it innocent? Adding the Everlife locket, and you're an angel. No one would ever believe an angel like you hides a savage beast. You'll be the ultimate weapon. Think about it. When we meet some enemy too tough to fight, everyone will ignore you, leaving you room to break them with your fist. Ain't that cool?" Gu Santong scrunched up his cute face, then nodded. "Makes sense. That's my dad, already setting up the stage. Dad, when will we fight him?" "Hopefully never." Zhuofan's eye twitched and turned around at the city's center. the former best of Eastern lands, Shangguan Feiyun, now the lord of one of Central Area's 9 domains, lives there. It would be best if we can avoid him. Zhuo Fan's eyes grew hard. Chapter 851. Stopover. Chapter 851. Stopover. Proofreader. Papatonks. Going by Dragon Ancestors' extremely sketchy map, a whirlwind tunnel should be around here. And since the strongest takes everything rule, it should be in the Flying Cloud Manor. Closing his eyes, Zhuo Fan analyzed the situation, but with Flying Cloud Manor being Shangguan Feiyun's, that means there'll be tons of experts. Sneaking in is nigh impossible. Smiley face, Feiyun equals Flying Cloud. Zhuo Fan opened his eyes, feeling a headache coming Gu Santong's side. What do we do then? Since Dad says there's a ton of experts, 2 of us can't stop them, short of using the Dragon Breath Pill. Dragon Breath Pill is the very last resort. I don't want to waste it. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. Young Sanzi, you saw how tight the security at the gate was, how cautious the old guys were. We've been in Central Area for months now and seen plenty of cities, but only this one's guards were cautious. Gu Santong shook his head. Maybe because it's one of the 9 domains Central City? No, there's gotta be something else. Zhuo Fan shook his head and smiled. The Central Area has been overbearing and even declaring itself unafraid of the other area's spies. Because they're strong enough that no matter what leaks, they could still flatten anyone and anything. That's why the Central Area is relaxed and casual, instead of being tense and earning ridicule. Yet Flying Cloud City is different. This goes to show that something happened recently to make even Shangguan Feiyun grow cautious. This means that with how tight the security is, even at the manor, we have no chance at all of checking it out. Gu Santong shrugged. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Fortune favors the bold. With Shangguan Feiyun tense, that means he's threatened. I may not know where this threat comes from, but there's conflict going on. These troubled waters might just be what we need to slink through. Why didn't I think of this earlier? Dad's the smartest. Ha ha ha. Gu Santong laughed. Then what now, Dad? Zhuo Fan smirked. Find a stopover and observe the changes. We may be staying here for a while. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan flicked his sleeve and walked towards the most packed district, with a puzzled Gu Santong behind. 3 hours later, the duo stood before a large courtyard, looking abandoned for some time. Next to them was a bearded man. In the 6th layer radiant stage, good eyes, sir. Flying Cloud City has few great homes. If not for an urgent need for spirit stones, I wouldn't have given it up. The man saw no one around and made his pitch. Gu Santong rolled his eyes when he first saw the old man in the market and in radiant stage, pulling them to the side. He thought he was someone special, only to try selling them a house. It seems Central Area really is packed with experts, so much so radiant stage experts are useful only as real estate agents. What will that make of profound heaven experts, sweepers, or chamber pot cleaners? Sizing the house, Zhuo Fan nodded inside, saying, say a price. How about 8 million spirit stones? 8 million? Zhuo Fan mocked. Why don't you grab it? You take me for a money bag? Even in Western lands, the most a house would go in an imperial capital is 1 million. A house is just a place to stay, while spirit stones are the core of one's cultivation. Buying houses instead of looking after your training is breaking your future. The man showed a despising gaze. You think this is Western lands? In Central Area, unless you're of amazing talent, you're a nobody. Look at me. If I roamed the Western lands a bit, I'd already have some prince or noble bowing to me. Here, though, I'm just an agent. Run out of Central Area then. Be someone among nobodies than a nobody among geniuses. Or is it that someone of Sir's strength can also make you rise? What rise? With my talent, I can't even get out of Central Area. The man gave a heartbroken sigh. I'll be honest with you. I came here with my lord. He is a soul harmony expert, a guard in Flying Cloud Manor. He's one of the best in this region too, and later? Zhuo Fan cut him off impatiently. Since your lord is cared for by the Flying Cloud Manor, then he should be valued. So why? Sigh. It's all fate in the end. The man waved his hand. We've been having it well at first, eating and drinking our fill, but just a month ago, the manor had a break-in, with the thief almost making out with some great treasure. The Sword King Shangwang Feiyun found out and flew into a rage, killing hundreds of soul harmony experts on the spot, including my lord. It wasn't his fault, though, since the thief broke in even with Genesis stage experts in the manor. But when the lord got angry, they are the ones suffering. So your lord died and now you're selling his home? Zhuofan figured it out. Now he knew why the city was so tense. Someone snuck into the manor. Since the thief went for his target but still didn't succeed, now waiting for another chance, the Flying Cloud City must now be under tighter security to stop him from getting help as well. Otherwise, the Sword King would have just focused on tracking him down instead if he succeeded. Since the treasure was still in the manor, the thief would try again. The perfect moment for us to slip in. Zhuofan grinned inside, a plan already forming in his mind. Actually, you can tell yourself by looking at me that I'm an errand boy. How could I pocket 8 million? Afraid Zhuofan might label him disloyal. The man played the victim here, sir. Just think, even with my lord a city lord's guard, I am just a guard servant. Could a radiant stage cultivator handle a lord's house? When my lord died, the treasures and pills in the house were stolen by ethereal stage experts, leaving this place empty. So they let me look after it, deal with the asset, then move back home to have some status, rather than a nobody here. That's why the 8 million won't be mine alone, but split among many experts. If you still find it excessive, I will lower it to 5, but that's my final offer. I'm only cutting the price since I'm in a hurry to leave. If you don't agree, I'll just have to sell it to someone else. The guy looked aggrieved, but none of it got to Zhuofan, who kept staring at the house. The guy frowned. He already played his role to perfection and even cut the price. What's the hold up? Is he poor? Doesn't look like it. Since he's pensive, then he's on the fence about buying it and should have the money. Just that the price is steep. His eyes lit up and rushed to say, Sir, I'll come clean. This house is special. How special? Zhuofan cocked an eyebrow. The guy shook his head. I don't know, since my lord had many secret rooms in it, for cultivation, refining, maybe even alchemy. Others split its wealth after his death, but it's not clear if they took all of it. As long as you find one item, maybe you'll break even. Take it as a freebie of sales and try your luck. Zhuofan chuckled. The greedy ones might fall for such a tactic, but not Zhuofan, though. He still needed a stopover from where he could check things out. Grinning, Zhuofan turned to the guy. Brother, didn't you say 5 million? That was without the freebie. The man beamed as Zhuofan waved his hand. You'd have long found it if there ever was one. Nothing to do with me. 5 million. You either sell or I walk. I'm sure there are plenty of others in the market with how hundreds of experts died, like you said. Shuddering, the man felt like ripping his mouth off for saying more than necessary. He was in a rush to leave, though. If he didn't sell it now, he'd be stuck. He had no choice but to lower the price, and so the two finished the deal, and Zhuofan brought Gu Santong into the house, unaware that this place already had an owner. Chapter 852, Freebie. Chapter 852, Freebie. Proofreader, Papatonks. Freebie, Freebie. Like an innocent child, Gu Santong was all smiles as he skipped into the house in excitement. One moment he was on a beam, the other in the pond, looking up every nook and cranny for that previous stuff. Zhuofan let out a chuckle. Young Sanzi, that man only said it to bait us into buying the house. There's no freebie. If there was any, they have long found it and left us with nothing. Maybe not, Dad. Skipping still, it did not put a damper on Gu Santong's excitement. Maybe those idiots couldn't find it while we can. With Dad's smarts and my nose, we'll sniff out any secrets. Zhuofan shook his head. Young Sanzi, and what if you find it? A puny soul harmony stage's toy is junk to us. There's dozens of stuff in my ring, and any one of them is superior by far. Why waste your energy? Gu Santong shook and looked back, though his searching never missed a beat. Zhuofan found it odd. Then he exclaimed, Young Sanzi is a child at heart. It's not about finding something, but the journey. Young Sanzi used to search for herbs not just to fill his belly, but also to play. Then Zhuofan and Kuanping gave him more herbs than he could swallow, but took away the fun. His belly was stuffed, but had nothing this child could do for fun. Zhuofan looked at young Sanzi ashamed. He failed as a father, feeling guilty for not having understood his heart. Young Sanzi, go search. If you find it, tell me. I want to see it as well. Zhuofan shouted at the child darting around Gu. Santong looked back with a wide smile. I'll be sure to find it. Gu Santong was gone, looking at the flash of red. Zhuofan shook his head, smiling inside. Dad, I found it. There's a treasure here. Gu Santong's cheerful cry came. I bet this is something Dad hasn't gotten yet. Zhuofan was stunned. There's actually something here? That was quick. Maybe that thief was right about being a freebie here. Zhuofan followed young Sanzi's voice, arriving before a run-down building. Zhuofan sized it up. Isn't it just a shed? The Lord must have been a weirdo to set up his cultivation room here. Or is it out of paranoia? Yeah, that has to be it. Those ethereal and radiant stage experts wouldn't think twice about looking here. Zhuofan not once thought about the stuff that might be hiding here, since hardly anything could impress him now. He only came to cater to his son's excitement. It's what a father must do. Young Sanzi, what did you find? Let me, Zhuofan cheerfully entered the shed, only to freeze in shock. In the middle of the shed lay a girl, with an egg-shaped face, sharp eyes, rosy skin and thin waist by the looks of it, heavily wounded, if the pale face and red line from the mouth were to be trusted. Young Sanzi squatted next to her and pointed in excitement. Dad, treasure, woman, Zhuofan's face twitched, revealing a vile smile at young Sanzi and bopping his head. How old are you? How is a woman a treasure? I'm only 3.5 centuries old. Gu Santong was annoyed. I'm no child. I know plenty of stuff. Ugh. Zhuofan was speechless. I stand corrected. He isn't a child at heart, but a shifty old man using his appearance to his advantage. He doesn't need compassion, but a heavy hand. Zhuofan eyed Gu Santong. Young Sanzi, what will you do with your find? Since you're 3 centuries old, it doesn't look like you can use it as you are. Blushing hard, Gu Santong knew exactly where Zhuofan was going. He glared in shame and anger. Dad, you're nasty. I'm nasty? When you called a woman a treasure, what else could you have been meaning other than something nasty? A wise guy. Zhuofan stared back, pouting. Gu Santong huffed. I found her like this, unconscious and weak. The way I see it, she must be the cauldron the Lord used to cultivate. If so, I only saw her as a cultivating treasure. What's wrong with that? Damn brat, are you splitting hairs with me? Zhuofan didn't shirk and touched the girl's icy wrist. He laughed. Haha, you got it all wrong. How's a maiden supposed to be a cauldron? Gu Santong turned to the girl with a puzzled gaze. Was I wrong? Then what is she doing in this place? Was she left behind? Zhuofan mocked. Kid, what are you thinking? This girl ain't from this house. Think about it. With her looks, even as a cauldron, they'd take her for sure. Also, judging by her wounds, a month at least. Zhuofan faced his son, showing off his wisdom. But then he squinted. But that means... Zhuofan's eyes shone and walked behind the house. Young Sanzi, get a room ready. I'm going to heal her. Gu Santong was taken off guard by his actions. Never knew Dad as a caring guy, going as far as healing a stranger. Especially a girl. Gu Santong had a coy smile. Sure, Dad. You're going to use healing as an excuse to dual cultivate. Wait till I tell Mom. Zhuofan jerked, then glared back. Why, you little miscreant? Since when have I dual cultivated? Did you forget what happened a month ago in Flying Cloud City? Flying Cloud Manor had a break-in. Gu Santong bobbed his head, then pointed at her. Dad, then? Zhuofan's eyes shone, nodding. More likely than not, this girl is involved. By saving her, we'll get some valuable info out of her. So don't just stand there. Get a room ready. Oh. Gu Santong bobbed his head and darted for the house, setting up a room in a jiffy. Zhuofan came in with the girl and set her on the bed. He used his energy while touching her forehead, returning Dragon's roar. Roar. A green glow started entering the girl's body, healing her under their very eyes. When the glow vanished, the girl didn't wake. Her breathing faint, still in danger of vanishing. Dad, it didn't work? When we beat that old Huangpu, he gave us a hard time with this skill. Gu Santong was puzzled. Zhuofan smiled. We were just in the radiant stage. But once in the ethereal stage, the real wound isn't on the body, but the soul. The last is in the 8th layer ethereal stage. Her wounded soul comes first, then her body. It won't matter if her body is healed, but not her soul. I only gave her some first aid, letting her hang on a little longer. Now comes the hard part, healing her soul. Gu Santong nodded. Young Sanzi, look after her. I'll be cultivating for 3 days to make an 11th grade pill to heal her soul. Don't disturb me. Zhuofan walked out. Gu Santong said, aren't the pills we have enough? It's not just her soul wounded, but her odd state, like... Zhuofan frowned in thought. He lifted the Qilin arm, looking at the scar vaulting sword left, a wound made by a sacred weapon. The strange energy is still there. Since it's a heavy wound, it needs special pills. Chapter 853, Waking Up. Chapter 853, Waking Up. Proofreader, Papatonks. In a dark room, a 10-meter-tall bronze cauldron sat on a raging fire that spewed out thick smoke. The light shone upon a man, casting a black shadow and revealing his face. He had his eyes closed, his hands poised in a sign, as he sat before the cauldron hum. The cauldron started shaking then, blowing out its lid with a bang. It revealed a round and shiny pill, with a golden luster. It floated in the air and darted away. Zhuofan flashed his eyes open and saw the pill flashing by him. He made a sign and pointed. Hold. The pill froze in the air, not budging. Grinning, Zhuofan took a vial and placed it inside. The pill looked like a victim as it just slumped dully on the glass wall. Zhuofan closed the vial with a smile. He walked outside, taking a deep breath of fresher air. 3 days refining feels like ages. The gaudy sun above and the deep breaths helped lighten his mood as he took large steps towards the guest house creek. He found Gu Santong inside, bored out of his mind, sitting at a table and watching the bed with a dead look. The pretty girl was like a sleeping beauty. Zhuofan smiled. The young miss, how has she been these days? Dad, you're finally out. Any longer and I'd have gone stir-crazy in here. Gu Santong complained. Zhuofan teased. Many others wouldn't have been able to sleep from the excitement to spend 3 days close to such a flower, but only you'd see it as a chore. Humph. Like you said, I first need to be equipped. Gu Santong looked at his small stature and sighed. Zhuofan's face twitched, rolling his eyes. Damn brat, you will one day. I heard sacred beasts mature when their powers increase. So grow up well. Patting his head, Zhuofan chuckled, turning to the patient. Gu Santong held his chin, then shook his head. Zhuofan touched her wrist. There's still hope. Her situation hasn't worsened. Zhuofan took out the vial and placed the still warm pill between her soft lips. The pill flowed into her body, and she shook wildly, her unmarred face turning into a frown. The change was brief, as the girl eased a breath and calmed down again. Dad, why isn't she waking up? Was your pill a dud? Gu Santong saw the girl laying as always and complained, feeling her condition. Zhuofan nodded and smiled. Brat, that was an 11th grade soul pill, sacred soul pill. A dud? No. It's her heavy wounds that need more time to heal. In a few days she will recover. You watch over her, and don't let her flee and make it all pointless. Zhuofan walked out. Hold on. Gu Santong complained. Dad, why am I stuck babysitting? You do it. I will make some tonic pills for her. Huh? Zhuofan beamed, his pace quickening. He justified himself. Refining is so taxing. I wouldn't have done this if didn't want her to wake up. Whoosh. Just as he reached the door, a flash of red blocked him. Gu Santong pouted and snapped. Dad, my head might not be as quick as yours, but I'm no fool. You said no ordinary pill can help her, so you had me watch her while you refined. And don't we have plenty of tonic pills? What do you take me for, a 3-year-old? Zhuofan froze, darting his eyes around for a solution. Gu Santong shouted before he could find one. It's your turn to babysit. I'm out to play. Gu Santong was gone. Hey, wait. Too little, too late. The kid was long gone, turning from the sleeping beauty to the distant sun. Zhuofan sighed. Can't this kid share just a little of my burden? Watching a comatose person is boring as hell. I still need to find more about Flying Cloud City's situation. Yep, Zhuofan was like Gu Santong in this regard, not wanting to be stuck here like father like son. Waiting here for the slow trickle of time was worse than killing them, but since the sun fled, that left his old man to do this rotten task helpless to the extreme. Zhua Fan slumped in the chair with Gu Santong's dead expression on his face. Yawning, he looked at the bed, then checked her condition now and then. He soon noticed that her state was improving. Though she showed no sign of stirring frowning, Zhua Fan gave her a few more pills, with no result. 3 days trickled by painfully slow, and the damn girl was still sleeping. Zhua Fan's was far more impatient than Gu Santong. Pacing around the room, the rare glance at the bright outdoors with chirping bird only worked to taunt him. Anyone would have lost it at this point. For crying out loud, where the hell did he run off to? He just couldn't wait to get far away from his dad? Didn't he want to stay with me at all times, to rely on each other, be each other's support? Now look at him. It hasn't been a week and he's already fled. What kind of son leaves his dad for 3 days? Scowling, Zhua Fan paced some more, and glanced at the bed even more, now turning his irritation on her. And you, brat? I've already healed you, so why aren't you awake yet? If you keep sleeping, I'll just thrash you. Silence welcomed him. A raging fire roared in his belly, with no place to vent. These 3 days were spent doing nothing at all. He couldn't even cultivate. Out of fear, the girl woke up and messed his concentration these long and arduous, but mostly flat. 3 days were getting to him. He was no saint either, not shirking from hitting a woman. But he had an image to uphold, that of a father. Hitting a defenseless girl will ruin his image of me. As a father, only in front of his son did he curb his evil tendencies so. His sneaky eyes darted from one corner to the next, making double sure there was no young Sanzi in sight. He showed a vile smile as he approached the bed, rubbing his hands. Missy, it's for you own good. A couple of slaps ought to wake you up. If not, it'll make me feel better too. See, win-win, right? Hee. Zhua Fan spat in his hands, lifted his hands high, and let them fall on the girl's most delicate face. There was no real force in it, of course, doing it just to let off steam. Anything more and her head would fly. The wind behind it, though, made her black hair float. The slaps weren't harmful, but they were sure to leave some lasting impressions. But then her eyes shot open, staring straight at Zhua Fan in anger. Stunned, Zhua Fan's hands faltered in the air. The pause gave the girl time to grab his hand and fling him on the bed. She jumped on him the next second, clutching his throat as she spoke in a loving voice. Who were you trying to thrash? Chapter 854. Oopsie. Chapter 854. Oopsie. Proofreader. Papatonks. Since her actions didn't seem serious, Zhua Fan let her have it, pushing him on the bed. Being under her, on the bed, and looking at her fine features, he looked lost. You're awake? Since when? Humph, for a day now. The girl glared. Oh, are you mad you didn't get to slap me? Zhua Fan only heard the first part about waking up. At least she didn't hear me and young Sanzi. The show can go on then. Though there was some shift in the script, he wanted to appeal to her gratitude for saving her life to get her to spill the beans. But after this oopsie, it was a miracle they didn't become enemies. Getting information now would prove to be a hassle. Sigh. Idle hands are the devil's playthings. Why the hell would slapping some girl even cross my mind? Zhua Fan shook his head inwardly, looking at the girl pinning him with a bitter smile. Miss, since you're awake, why fake it? How else was I supposed to get a grasp on the situation? Were you a friend or foe? There's only 2 kinds of people one would drop their guard around, a dead man and an unconscious one. The girl raised an eyebrow in pride. Your actions proved it. The fact that you'd be rough on an unconscious person shows you're not friendly. Only by faking sleep for a day could I see through your evil nature. Zhua Fan's face twitched and nodded. Miss, you're a genius, a true veteran of the cultivation world. I am in awe seeing how you see through my little vial and tint. Damn right. Since I am Eastern Lands, the smug girl grew conceited. Zhua Fan had his ears peeled, though the girl sure was cautious. Stopping midway, sighing inwardly at the mischance, Zhua Fan changed his approach. Miss, you're so young yet you're in the 8th layer ethereal stage, so much stronger than Western Lands' best geniuses. You must be quite famous in the Eastern Lands. What's it to you? Are you testing me for information? The girl roared. Her gaze showed she was on guard. Zhua Fan's heart sank, knowing any further attempts were pointless. To avoid any aggravation, he played dumb. No, miss, that's not it. I was just saying. I don't mind if you won't say it. The girl huffed bang. Zhuofan was hearing the front door being knocked on. We've been in Flying Cloud City for a few days. Who could be looking for us? Don't tell me young Sanzi is at it again, stirring things all over the place. Don't move. Ka. The girl sounded far more nervous than him. He was choked so hard his neck sounded cracking. Zhuofan's face was beet red. Tapping her hand quickly, Miss, you almost choked me. I should have, with how vile you are. It's what you deserve for not only holding me unconscious, but even trying to slap me. The girl scoffed and ignored his protests. Her attention was completely taken by the knocking on the door. Zhuofan knew she had no intention to kill, or Zhuofan would have long since killed her instead, though getting choked is getting me nowhere. What was worse, if his son found him like this, what of his righteous image of a doting father? Zhuofan resorted to faked pleading, Miss, I'm but an alchemist. I healed you. You shouldn't harm your savior. Eyes shaking, the girl hesitated before easing her grip. I know that. Clearly your mind is skewed since you wanted to slap me just now. But after waking, I sensed you giving me pills and knew you saved me. I'll let you go now, but don't you scream or try anything. Got it? Zhuofan bobbed his head, his hand zipping his lips. Only then did the girl take away her hand. Dad, there's someone at the door. Should I go see? After having his fill outside these 3 days, Gu Santong popped out of nowhere only to come upon this vivid picture, quite the compromising position to Zhuofan on his back, with a girl straddling him. What took the cake was her hand on his chiseled chest. Though it was the one that choked him just now, the kid didn't know that. Gu Santong, of course, took the burning image at face value, labeling it as not safe for children. His reaction to this more than obvious adult affair was disgust. Dad, is this what you mean by unable to sleep from excitement? Since I can't understand nor partake, I'll let you enjoy yourself. Gu Santong left the room with a flat look. Going to see who was knocking. What did he mean? The girl looked below her with a lost look. Zhuofan's face twitched. Miss, you're more immature than a child. Don't you find our state even a little indecent? Indecent? The girl now reacted, having been pointed out. Looking down on Zhuofan being under her, she went red in a flash and cried, What are you doing in my bed? Get the hell out. Zhuofan rolled his eyes. Sister, don't tell me you don't know. It's you who dragged me on the bed here. And how am I supposed to go when you're sitting on me? Oh, right. Flustered and panicking, the girl rushed off him and off the bed. Zhuofan glanced at her, like an innocent bystander. Whoosh. This mystery girl in the 8th layer ethereal stage, in her panic, got tangled in the sheets and fell as she got off. It resulted in one perfect angle impossible to reproduce, sending her falling on Zhuofan. The calm Zhuofan, still on the bed, pretended to be weak, willing to take anything she'd dish at him, even the incoming looming shadow on his face. So while this unknown had hit his head, Zhuofan found a peculiar scent overtaking his mind. Along with sweet and soft lips gracing his own, the two were firmly joined at the lips. The pair of eyes had never been so close. Watching each other, the two went wide-eyed, and the heat coming from the other made their hearts race and their faces red. Dad, there's a bunch of people outside. Gu Santong's timing was flawless, looking at the even more explicit view with a lost look. Should I let them, I better go? Gu Santong left like natural. The girl shrieked and jumped off the bed with a burning face. Her eyes teared up too. Zhuofan looked embarrassed, sitting up. Clang. A sharp sound then revealed a jade longsword at Zhuofan's throat. The girl spat through gnashed teeth. That was my first. You stole it from me, and now I'll tear you to pieces. Wait. Who stole what here? You did it, not me. Zhuofan faked panic. You know very well I did nothing but lay here. It's all on you. Miss, let's be reasonable here. In any case, I'm your savior. That. The girl was ready to cry, but then she glared. I don't care. You used me, and now you die. The girl pushed on the sword, about to pierce Zhuofan's throat. Zhuofan's eyes turned cold and the Qilin arm shone red. He wanted the girl's knowledge, but since she lost it and wanted to kill him, he'd have to return the favor. You brought this on yourself? Dumb girl, since I can save you. I can also kill you. At the very least, dumping your body in a public place should stir something and give me clues. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone with bloodthirst. The girl was oblivious of it in her panic and shame. She'd never believe a wee fifth-layer radiant stage cultivator would be a demon in disguise. Chapter 855. Inspection. Chapter 855. Inspection. Proofreader. Papatonks. Clang. This was the only sound made by the sword as it flashed for Zhuo Fan, the scarlet glow that followed hid within a bestial nature, one of power and wildness to turn any ignorant to mush. Zhuo Fan stood there at ease, ready to grab the sword and snap it like a twig. Boy, you're newcomers in Flying Cloud City? Yeah, we're Flying Cloud Manor guards. We have orders to inspect every recent newcomer. Where is the master of this place? Call him out. The loud shouts from outside entered the duo's ears. Pausing, the girl's blade went back to her body, stopping the attack. Her brow tensed at the sudden interruption. Zhuo Fan pondered before he smiled inwardly. This chick must have gotten scared when she heard Flying Cloud Manor. Being found out was the last thing on her mind, which helped confirm Zhuo Fan's guess. The girl had been involved in the break a month ago. With a sinister smile, Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. The girl grew angry at his rotten smile. The jade sword once again went to touch his neck as she barked, "What are you smiling at? Stop that." Zhuo Fan turned a deaf ear. "It's not me who's scared, but you. So what's there to fear?" Zhuo Fan's eyes looked up, looking amused and condescending. The girl was outraged, and found he ignored her even as she pressed the blade on his neck. Like he got confident all of a sudden as he looked elsewhere. Yet no amount of anger from her part would change that Flying Cloud Manor's guards were at the door, making killing right now highly ill-advised. Once they're gone, humph. The girl squinted, sticking out her lip in anger. "Miss?" Zhuo Fan showed a vile look as he uttered, "You're better off killing me. I'm not a nice guy, even planning on slapping you while unconscious." "Humph, I already knew that. But I'm not killing you over that." But the girl huffed and glared, then went red in the cheeks with a weird smile. Zhuo Fan nodded. "Yeah, I stole your first kiss, but I don't think that grounds for murder. I've done something more foul to earn your anger and kill me." "More foul? What?" The girl was stunned. Zhuo Fan chuckled, then squinted as he sized her up, whispering in her ear, "Miss, congratulations, you're now a woman." "What?" The girl shuddered, unable to believe his words. What did you just say?" Zhuo Fan mocked. "Wasn't I clear enough? Fine, let me be completely transparent. I broke you in." Boom. A storm exploded in the girl's head, shocked to the core as she shook her head. "No, impossible, that can't be." "You think so?" Zhuo Fan snickered. "Miss, you should know better than me just how fine you are. Just think, a man was by your side while you were unconscious, a fully adult male. Could something happen? Did something happen? You decide. I'll kill you." The girl lost it as she howled, pointing her sword at Zhuo Fan amidst the tears as if that wasn't enough for him. Zhuo Fan incited her more. "Come, kill me, but it won't matter since someone already took you. That won't ever change. With the Flying Cloud Manor guards at the door, if you kill me, you'll soon follow. Maybe we'll even die together, be with each other forever." Well, not that I mind, since my son can look after himself. As long as Miss doesn't have any others to worry about, let us die in the name of love." "Why you?" Her eyes shook as she gnashed her teeth. The sword trembled but didn't budge an inch. "I knew it. She's not alone in the city. She might have relatives far from here, but that wasn't enough to make her hesitate." Subjected to such humiliation, impulse was a human's first choice, but she hesitated because her people were still around and in danger. If something happened to her, it would distract them and make it easy for the guards to catch them. The thought of their safety had her hesitate. Even in the face of death, Zhuo Fan was more sure than ever that the girl was a great lead. The sword fell to the ground, and the girl hugged her knees while sobbing. Anyone would be heartbroken hearing her woo. Zhuo Fan smiled and went to pat her head. "Miss, aren't you gonna kill me?" "Beat it," she roared like a banshee, wishing to swallow him whole. Zhuo Fan ignored it, of course, with a smile. "Then let me tell you a little secret. You're still an untouched chick." "What?" Shuddering, the girl lifted her head in shock. Why you aren't lying? Zhuofan shook his head. It's your body and you don't know? Why even ask? Blushing, the girl sensed herself and lowered her head in shame. Then why? I thought of letting you see what's most precious. Zhuofan said, once you found out you were broken, you didn't have the mind to care about some kiss, right? When you're about to die, who the hell cares if you're broken in? People always have a line they do not cross, but since it was broken and done with, why think about it? You should always think more about what you have and not cling to what you lost. Zhuofan walked outside. Now, let's see Flying Cloud Manor's guards. The more you hide, the more you bring suspicion on you. It's better to face them calmly. Even if you are who they're after, there's no way some nobody guards would recognize you. Zhuofan chuckled and went on ahead with a pleased look. The girl was too dumbstruck to react. Zhuofan now looked like a sage, of great wisdom, and not like the bastard he just played as. Even the girl felt like what happened was ages ago. Zhuofan was but a fifth-layer radiant stage cultivator, but his confidence and resolve made the girl's heart skip a beat also. Zhuofan paused, lifting his hands. Try not to get smart when you don't even know yourself. Cleverness may overreach itself. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan walked away laughing. The girl glared and then giggled. Her cheeks were becoming red, and for some odd reason, her heart wouldn't calm down. The sudden arrival of Flying Cloud Manor guards must be the cause. The girl took a deep breath to calm herself and followed Zhuofan. The safest place was amidst danger. Seniors, how may I help you? Rushing to the entrance, Zhuofan found dozens of soul harmony experts, all wearing the Flying Cloud Manor symbol. A white cloud. Zhuofan bowed at once. Like a humble man seeing his meager cultivation, the men ignored him and asked as a formality, are you new in town? Yes. Who is this child? A man pointed at Gu Santong. Zhuofan bowed. Senior, he's my only son. Where did you come from? Western lands. Why? To avoid pursuit. Are there any other people here? Ugh. Zhuofan paused, unsure if the last would follow him to meet these men, saying yes, but the last not coming would be ruining himself. But if he denied and then found her, the result would be the same. The guard frowned as he repeated, are there any more people here? Here I am. The girl rushed over with a bright smile. Chapter 856, Interrogation. Chapter 856, Interrogation. Proofreader, Papatonks. The girl skipped over, bringing with her a fresh breeze. She stopped behind Zhuofan with a bashful look, like an innocent girl. The guards were dumbstruck by her behavior. Looking lost, it only made the girl feel self-conscious and hide behind Zhuofan, like a baby sister oblivious to the world's evil, protected by her big brother. The gentle nature instilled in the people a sense of protection. Zhuofan was stunned. Hell, this lass is versed in the world and an even better actor than me. He could still remember her outburst from before. He wouldn't tease her for this, since they were in the same boat. He just forced a smile and calmed himself. Moments later, the guards woke up and pointed at her. Is she staying here?
Yes.
The girl's gentle voice echoed, soothing the guards. The guard had to take a moment to recover and pointed at Zhuofan. Who are you two? Why have both of you come from the Western lands? Zhuofan's eyes focused, thinking of a good name for her. But the girl got ahead of him. He's my husband. We came from Western lands together. Oh wait, what? The men nodded but then froze, looking from one to the other in disbelief. He's your husband? Why, what's wrong with that? The girl nodded with a smile, then dragged a stumped Gu Santong next to her. Look, our child is all grown up. The inspection team was shocked, with Zhuofan looking lost. Hey, chickie, moments ago you were trying to stab me, and now you say I'm your man? And what are you looking at? You're already getting the best of it by being my husband. What are you crying about? Keep staring and see if I don't poke your eyes out. Glaring at Zhuofan, the girl warned as her hand gripped Gu Santong, clearly using him as hostage to force Zhuofan. Fall in line or your son will fall first. Zhuofan shook his head inside. He didn't worry about Gu Santong, not like the last could do anything to young Sanzi. Zhuofan found this trap difficult. He could not admit just any random girl as his wife. Though it was fake, given the circumstances, he had to agree if he wanted to get over this mess regardless. He could not say it so easily since there was only one person in his heart. He wouldn't want to sully her image even if it was fake. Eyeing the odd couple, a guard asked, Miss, the man is only in the 5th layer radiant stage, while you are in the 8th layer ethereal stage. They just couldn't get it. The world had many cultivating couples of different levels, but it was also a world where the man was the head. His power represented his status. There was no woman willing to lower herself to a weaker guy. The odd thing here was not their gap in strength, but the reversed roles of this couple. This could have happened only if the girl was just too damn strong, so that she wore the pants in this relationship. Such a woman couldn't have just one guy either, miss. With your strength, you must be someone important in Western lands. Can it be you started a harem to replenish your een and dual cultivate? The guard asked. The girl blushed hard as she flared, Why, you're making a harem? We're just a family with a child. How can I do something as vile as replenishing? With how the world is ruled by strength, people would resort to anything for power, even women. The guard had a nasty smile. Brothers, search the place. If she has a harem, they must be many. There's no way there's just the 3 of them. Humph. Yes, sir. The men shouted and shot inside, already on it. The girl's face looked conflicted and depressed. Zhua Fan glanced over and sighed. Even I wouldn't believe you, let alone others, since we're too different in cultivation. Whoosh. An hour later, the guards returned with shaking heads, and the main speaker frowned. He refused to believe such a strong woman only had one guy. Zhua Fan smiled and stepped forward with a bow. Senior, please don't listen to her nonsense. She's not my wife. No. The guard shook and grew grave. The girl tensed, sweat trickling down. Is he selling me out? Then who is she? Why is she staying here? Zhua Fan sighed. Senior, the truth is, she is my cousin. Our clan is hunting us, so we had to run here. Your cousin? Then why did she say she's your wife? The guard shouted. Turning to the girl, she looked nervous. Zhua Fan pondered. Actually, she does want to be my wife, but my heart belongs to someone else. No other girl can have it. She was only playing a joke before. Please don't mind it, Senior. Tell me exactly what is going on here, or I will have her arrested. The guard barked. Zhua Fan smiled and nodded. Yes, of course, Senior. Allow me to tell you everything. My cousin and I grew up together, inseparable. I know she loves me, but I could not accept it. Seniors can see that her talent is better than mine, cultivating much faster. That's why I could not accept her love, finding myself undeserving of her. Oh, we can tell that much. You aren't a fit for her at all. The others nodded. Zhua Fan continued. Then I met a lady at the Ultimate Clarity sect, got married and had a child. But this earned the sect's rage, and we were hunted down. I could only take my son and flee all the way to the central area. Fortune was with me for having my cousin along as well to look after me, or we would have died a long time ago. I could never return her feelings, and Zhua Fan turned to the girl. Cousin, I already have someone I love. Your love. Zhua Fan sighed. Looking elsewhere as he was unable to accept her feelings, the men exclaimed, Oh, so a love triangle, with this girl being love-stricken. Ha, what a waste of good seed. An 8th layer ethereal stage expert with pretty looks going after a waste leagues behind her. How can we, experts, find fault in that? The leader sighed. Another one nodded. Yeah, it makes too much sense, actually. Why did they have to be childhood friends? Brother, the place is clean. Or at least the thief would have used some flat excuse, not go for such a convoluted melodrama. Just look at how conflicted they are. They all turned to the two to see Zhua Fan's guilty look. The girl's gaze never left him. Her eyes glazed over. Fools blinded by love. Crashing marriages. The guard shrugged. Then the leader coughed. We understand. Then we'll write that. This place belonged to a fellow guard of ours. Since you bought it, it's yours. Now, there's only the 3 of you here? What are your names? Oh, Senior, I'm Gu Yifan. Cupping his hands, Zhua Fan spoke. My son is Gu Santong, and my cousin. Zhua Fan hinted at her feeling sour for some odd reason. The girl spoke. I'm Gu Qingyan. Noted. After writing down on a jade slip, the guard nodded. From now on, you are the owners of this place. If there's anyone suspicious hanging around, report to the Flying Cloud Manor at once. You can also shout and make some noise. Our patrols will respond swiftly. Zhuofan bowed. Thank you, Senior. Only what suspicious people? You don't know? The guard mocked. Homeless, wandering, shifty, repulsive, and guilty-looking people. If you see anyone that fits that description, give us a signal. Got it? Yes, yes. Zhuofan nodded. The guard smiled, then waved his hand. Brothers, the next house. Ha ha ha. Let's see how those thieves can hide as we search every place. Ha ha ha. Chapter 857. One step back, two steps forward. Chapter 857. One step back, two steps forward. Proofreader, Papatonks. As the laughter grew faint in the distance, the auras of the guards faded as well. The trio watched them go with a sigh of relief now. Close the door and see her out. Zhuofan clapped and said. Young Sanzi woke up and pulled the girl posing as his mom outside. Gu Santong didn't use force, just playing the role of a child. Anything else and he'd be throwing her out. The girl was stunned. What are you doing? What, you ask? Humph. Zhuofan glared at her. Didn't you hear, Senior? Meeting any homeless. Wandering, Gu Santong added, shifty, repulsive, guilty-looking people. The father and son finished together as they stared at the girl. Anyone suspicious is to be reported to the Flying Cloud Manor. You should be thankful we're only kicking you out. The two threw her out like nothing, then shut the door behind her. She only woke up from her daze when she was outside. But seeing the door shut, anger burned in her gaze, and she kicked the door open. The two held the door and pretended to be shaken from the impact by staggering back. They looked at her in panic. What are you doing? The guards are just around the corner. What of it? That's more than enough time to end your lives. The girl glared. Zhuofan shuddered in fake fear, then wailed, Big sister, we don't know each other. Us two have been drifters for years before finally coming to the central area, avoiding Western Land's pursuit and starting a new life. We don't want any trouble. I don't know if you're related to the guard's search, but for our safety, please leave. Take it as a return favor for saving your life. Please don't drag us into this. The girl looked hard at the two, biting her lip, but then she asked, Hey, was what you said true? What did I say? About you and your wife. Did the sect break you up? What about your wife? Startled, Zhuofan didn't think she'd be hung up on that in this critical situation. But it was also related to Zhuofan's pain. Zhuofan mocked all of a sudden, as if, to get them to ignore you. I made that on the spot, while I cast out my wife for better things and a brighter future. She's just a hindrance, that's all. She should be having the time of her life. Pa. The girl gave him a heavy slap in anger. You rotten bastard. I'll kill you for your wife's sake. Her sword was once again pointing at Zhuofan's throat. Zhuofan waved his hands frantically. Wait. Attack now and the guards will hear you. And I'm your savior. Attacking me is being ungrateful. Humph, I'll spare you for now, but pray we never meet again. The sword shook and the girl roared as she sped away. I'll never stay a second in a bastard's place, or I'll end up as vile as you. Seeing her vanish in the night sky, her curses growing faint, the duo shared a crafty smile. Dad, are you just going to let her leave after all the trouble of saving her? Leave? Where would she go? Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. Did you forget why the guards came? They are combing through the city. The Flying Cloud Manor wants to have eyes on every corner in the city, on every citizen. The taverns are the most conspicuous, with no way of hiding under such heavy monitoring. Leaving her? Ha ha ha. As long as she's in Flying Cloud City, she'll soon come back here. She's got no choice. Gu Santong nodded but wanted more details. But even so, why did we drive her out? Isn't it over the top? Not at all. This is psychological warfare. One step back, two steps forward. Zhuofan's eyes glinted. We didn't kick her out because of her, but the people behind her. Think about it. Since we saved her, but by also hiding her, then we'll become suspicious about having our own designs. Maybe her people will think that we're on the guard's side, baiting them to come out. That will make gaining their trust harder now, though. We kicked her out, like scared average cultivators avoiding trouble, making saving her just a coincidence. As time passes, those people will be pushed into a corner by the guards monitoring, and would think of using us, when in fact we're using them. The roles reverse as the schemes become twisted from every little detail, giving us the perfect win. Gu Santong nodded and sighed. I see it now. You know she can't go anywhere, so might as well kick her out. Also, the people behind her would come, right? Haha, exactly. Now's just a matter of time. Zhuofan closed the heavy door and took Gu Santong behind the house. Young Sanzi, where have you gone the last 3 days? I didn't see you at all. Around town, but since they took me for a child, they didn't let me enter many places. You said I couldn't force my way in, so? I'll take you there tomorrow. What do you say? Truly? Of course, we're waiting for news now, so we can afford some leisure. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan smiled at the child. Gu Santong was overjoyed on the second day. Zhuofan took Gu Santong to every known place in Flying Cloud City. They played around, had fun, not thinking about anything, not bothering with anyone. On the third day, Zhuofan and Gu Santong went to enjoy the local cuisine and the fine dishes, relishing in these rare father-son moments. They put their plan behind them, so it went for 10 days, carefree and relaxed. Only that night, when Gu Santong was skipping towards home with Zhuofan smiling behind, the sudden sight stunned them. The same girl 10 days ago was now back. Only this time she looked far more downcast. She hesitated upon seeing them. Zhuofan's face twitched, faking shock. Big sister, what are you doing here? Don't just shout. Her jade sword was out and pointing at Zhuofan, though looking awkward as she had to shout with hatred. Listen here. I'll be staying here from now on. You can't kick me out nor report me. Try anything of sorts and I'll kill you. The lass was forced for sure to come back against her will. The father and son mocked her inwardly. Where can an ethereal stage cultivator hide in a city with soul harmony patrols? Instead of acting nice to get a place to stay, you're like a thug stealing it. Would you have been so tough when you left back then if you knew? Would you have still burnt your bridges? Haha. Zhuofan sighed. Miss, I get your back, but can you not shout at us? I'm not one to look for trouble, but since our lives are in your hands, I don't have a choice. But where did that gentle and kind miss from 10 days ago go? How did you become a shrew, stooping so low as to steal someone's home? Shuddering, the girl looked hurt at his words, feeling like the victim instead. You dare say that when you kicked me out? The girl raged. Do you know what I did these 10 days? Skulking like a rat in the streets, scared that every person I met would call the guards. I couldn't go to a tavern. I couldn't stay in another place from fear of being found. Flying Cloud City is so huge, yet there is no place that can have me. All I've done is run and run, in constant fear. If I hadn't come back, they'd have found me. Yet you call me a shrew. The girl broke down crying. Zhuofan sighed inside. She kicked herself out. But only by encountering despair on the streets would she be willing to come back here. Chapter 858. A Family of 3. Chapter 858. A Family of 3. Proofreader, Papatonks. This room will be yours from now on, cousin. Zhuofan creaked the door open, showing the same bed where she was healed. While jesting, scrounging her nose, the girl eyed him with a deep and grateful gaze. After wandering the streets like a dog for days, she now returned to the place where she recovered in peace. Anyone would be touched at this point. Feeling like this place was home, making a flourish, Zhuofan invited her in. While he left looking at him leave, she shouted, I saw you and your son having fun in town these days. Pausing, Zhuofan frowned and looked back. You mean we can't? You're very good to your dear son, the girl said. From the 10 days you spent roaming Flying Cloud City, one can see how close the two of you are. Zhuofan asked, That's a father for you. What's wrong with that? But you said you abandoned your wife. The girl looked in doubt. Going by your close relation with your son, it can't be that you would do such a thing to his mother. Zhuofan squinted. Women are women and a son is a son. Men are very clear on the differences. What does an unbroken chick know? Rolling his eyes, Zhuofan walked away, his eyes glazing with grief as he shook his head. The girl was furious at the taunt, but then thought about it another way. Zhuofan was erratic in his affairs, switching tunes at the drop of a hat, making him mysterious in her eyes. That he had secrets. The girl did not enter her room and walked behind the house. The moon hung in the sky above the sea of stars, bringing light to the night in the backyard. Gu Santong sat at a stone table, playing with a wooden toy, looking rather cute. He might be 3 centuries old, but his puerile nature never changed, especially the last few days. Having Zhuofan prioritize leisure activities in the city over work, he felt paternal love after ages. This brought out the child he buried inside. Whining to Zhuofan to get him some nice toys, he was now having the time of his life. Until a girl popped up behind him. Gu Santong frowned, but faked oblivion as he played. Zhuofan kept telling him to play dumb and act like a wee child. Gu Santong. Was it? The girl showed the child a bright smile, looking at his toy. Wow, how pretty. Did your dad get it for you? Eyeing her, Gu Santong was vague. Get on with it, or sleep it off. Ugh. The girl froze at such hostility, her face twitching hard. Why is he so mean? Wait, it's not the child's fault, but who he lived with. That guy's bad influence. I must hold it in. Smashing down the anger, the girl showed a kind face as she said, Santong, you shouldn't talk like that to me. It isn't nice. Who in hell would be nice to a broad that tried to kill the both of us? Gu Santong bit back. She almost spat blood in anger, her body shuddering. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. These two's words are so biting, always antagonistic, and it's pissing me off. That's not the problem here, since all is that guy's fault, not the child. I must stay strong. The girl's face twitched like no tomorrow, showing a look worse than crying. Child, can't you use kinder words? I just wanted to ask you. Out with it already. Gu Santong snapped, outraged. The girl gnashed her teeth. Ha ha ha. Child, you sure are feisty. Then I'll be frank. Did your dad really abandon your mom? Gu Santong shook, then paused from playing. He then nodded, his reply cold. Yes. The girl looked disappointed. The outcome out of her presumption. Do you like your mother? Yes. Don't you hate your dad for what he did? No. Why? The girl was stunned. Gu Santong went silent as he stared at the toy in his hand. He sighed. If Dad had stayed with Mom, she would have died. What do you think he should have done? What? The girl stood speechless. Young Sanzi, are you playing there? You're supposed to be in bed at this hour. Zhuofan's shout came from afar. Gu Santong ignored the girl and went to Zhuofan's room. Dad's calling me. I need to go. Gu Santong's young appearance that contrasted with the upright stance left the girl in stunned silence. The son resembles the father, but not to the extreme. It looks like he isn't as cruel as he lets on. Meanwhile, Gu Santong got in the room to find Zhuofan sitting at a table, giving him an annoyed and sad look. What are you doing telling her so much? I just don't want her to curse you every time you meet. What's the problem? I'm no saint either, and I've been cursed more than I can count. But I don't want to hear anyone curse my dad. Gu Santong climbed on the bed with a bored look. I used to smash any that cursed you, but since you don't want me to fight, I want to not hear people cursing my dad. Zhuofan gave him a long look and nodded, son. The next morning, Zhuofan and Gu Santong woke up refreshed from cultivating. Welcoming the coming of a new day, Gu Santong smiled. Dad, the broad is back. Are we still toying with her? Of course, the more carefree we are the better. The real fish has yet to bite. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan nodded. Gu Santong cheered in excitement. Showing out to be the child he was, Zhuofan nodded, enjoying this rare moment of fatherhood, but the girl's gentle figure suddenly popped in his face. Zhuofan asked, What are you doing? Me and young Sanzi are going out. Great, now take me with you. The girl gave a bright smile. Zhuofan furrowed his brow. Why? Yeah, my dad and I are having fun. So why bring you along, to be a stick in the mud? Gu Santong shunned her, making his position clear as day. She wiggled her cute nose, made a pout at the kid, then turned to Zhuofan to impose. Who's to say you won't report me once you go out? That's why I have to keep an eye on you. Squinting, Zhuofan paused before showing a wide smile. Fine. Since Miss wants to, then come along. As long as you don't misunderstand. Misunderstand what? The girl was curious, but Zhuofan's reply was a shifty grin. An hour later. Oh, Sir Gu, you brought your son to play again. What a great father you are spending these days with your son. And now you even brought the madam. My, Sir's madam is a world beauty. No wonder she has been cooped up at home for so long. Huh. The trio walked down the street with many shouts aimed at them. Fan just replied with a smile and nod. The girl was blushing harder than a tomato. She now realized what he meant and grumbled. "Why, aren't you saying anything? I'm not your wife, but cousin. There's no point talking to these chatterboxes. They'll say whatever they want anyway. And I don't want to talk to some sellers either." Fan grinned, his eyes always scanning his surroundings. By his calculations, the girl had been hiding the past days, making it hard for her friends to find her. Now that she walks in broad daylight, they should get in touch. One of the reasons why he accepted to take her along. As bait. "Stop, who are you people?" A patrol came by and barred their way. The girl tensed, ready to bolt, but Fan held her, smiling. Fan did the talking. "We're the Gu family from a nearby house." Taking a jade slip, the man read it and waved them off. "Oh, the new Gu family, Gu Yifun, Gu Santong, and Gu Qingyan. You're free to go." The patrol resumed their duty. The girl was stunned. "They let us go that easy?" Fan easily guessed her thoughts. "Did you forget we got registered a few days back? That jade slip has our portraits and details. In this flying cloud city, we are a family of 3. Then what have I been doing these days? Skulking around like a scared mouse?" The girl was stumped. Fan shrugged. "Yeah, why did you run? That's what's called guilty looking. Shifty. Homeless." The father and son enjoyed teasing the hell out of the blushing girl. None of them noticed a pair of eyes watched from a dark corner. Chapter 859. Relative Invasion. Chapter 859. Relative Invasion. Proofreader. Papatonks. "Dad, I want this and that. Oh, this as well." In the noisy street, the trio strolled through the shops, like one big happy family. Gu Santong, like any child, would jump around at anything that caught his attention, which was everything. Fan spoiled him like a true rich guy, forking out spirit stones without a twitch and throwing them to the shopkeeper with an attitude. "I'll take it all, ha ha ha." "Thank you, sir." "Thank you." The shopkeepers were overjoyed seeing their profit soar. Gu Santong was having the time of his life with this new batch of toys. The two's happiness was infectious, as it finally got through the girl, making her smile. "Candy figurines. Come and enjoy candy figurines." The shouts had Gu Santong turn around with sparkling eyes as he saw an old man in his stall. "Dad, what is that? All looks and no substance. You can just ignore it." Fan spoke, but the sweets were all that were reflecting in Gu Santong's childish eyes. The girl lit up and smiled. "Young Sanzi, I'll buy you some." "All right." Gu Santong grumbled, then looked at Fan for permission. "Ha ha ha. The girl's a freeloader, so getting something out of her is natural." Fan scratched his nose and teased. "Young Sanzi, go all out and get what you want. Fleece her down to the last stone." Gu Santong bobbed his head in glee, then looked around for his targets, wanting not just the candy but heaps of other stuff. He showed a brilliant smile, extending his cute hand at the girl. The girl's face twitched and glared at Fan. "I just knew you're a bad influence on the child. You're not buying? You liar." Fan twisted his head away, grinning inside. Gu Santong pouted and complained the kid sure knew how to use his adorable puppy eyes to melt her resistance, and so she nodded with a smile. "Don't worry, young Sanzi. I'll buy it all, ha ha ha." She went to the candy cellar, but not before glaring at Fan and making faces. It was hard to tell if she was being cute like Gu Santong or plain angry. Fan held Gu Santong's hand as they looked around, enjoying themselves. "How much for a candy?" Whoosh. But then a shadow fell on her, holding her mouth and taking her away. He took but a second to vanish from the crowd. Not even the people near noticed a thing. The seller looked ahead curiously. "Didn't someone call me just now? Am I hearing things? Strange." The seller got over it fast, returning to shouting his wares. Woo. In a dark and desolate corner, the girl struggled in fear under the attacker's hand, but the hand clamped down like an iron vice. Not letting a sound escape, she panicked, wanting to unleash her power to break free. There was no point playing now. Not when the attacker had to be from the flying cloud manor. "Yenner, it's me." The attacker spoke hastily before she did anything rash. Halting, the girl stopped her resistance at the voice. She instead turned a shocked look at the handsome guy that just let her go. "You're alive, cousin." The father and son were enjoying themselves, but when they looked back, they found the girl gone. "Where's the girl gone to?" Gu Santong asked Fan. Did we scare her off from asking for so many things from her? Zhuofan staggered and shook his head. All those things you asked for are barely a few spirit stones. Not to mention she's someone important in the eastern lands with her high cultivation. Scaring her off? And where would she be staying if she did? Oh right, the past 10 days were spent homeless and in suffering. She doesn't have the nerve to wander around town alone. Gu Santong pondered, then cried. Did the guards take her? Zhuofan shook his head. Flying Cloud Manor is the leader here. Why would they resort to subterfuge when they could just waltz in and grab her? And she came from our place too. If they got her, we'd be in for it as well. I bet this is the hand of her friends. Zhuofan smiled at Gu Santong's lost look. With her walking in broad daylight, all casual, her friends must be stunned and wanted to take her for answers. Gu Santong showed a vague smile. Dad, this time, we hooked a big fish? Yeah, but that will put an end to our vacation. Zhuofan smiled. Young Sanzi, this may be our last day having fun, so let's make the most of it. I'll take you anywhere you want to go. I heard there's a street packed with food stalls 100 miles east of the town. Let's go eat our fill. Brat, you only think with your stomach. Food first and then the rest? Hee hee. Zhuofan and his son walked to their target, having everything under control, enjoying their last day of leisure only in the dead of night. With the moon high above them, did they return home. But what welcomed them was a hand grabbing each of their mouths. The door was quickly closed, and the soul harmony experts took them into the house. Gu Santong tensed in shock, about to fight back, but Zhuofan looked at him to calm down. The two only put a token of resistance as they got taken, though they had to do their acting to perfection, trying their best to scream. Looking red from their efforts, finally, the two were taken to the parlor, where two overbearing experts sat. A middle-aged man took the main seat, with grizzled temples and sporting a genial face. He was a Genesis stage expert, Zhuofan knew then, and there he hooked a big one. The two men saw the owners of the house were here and struggling. He shouted, "Make one peep and you're dead?" Zhuofan shuddered in fake fear, nodding his head. "We're the guests here. That's no way to treat a host. And there's a child present as well." The middle-aged man frowned and waved his hand. "Release them. Is this how the name we nurtured for 10,000 years is going to be ruined?" "Yes, clan head." The two bowed and withdrew, leaving Zhuofan and his son. The middle-aged man smiled, but Zhuofan cried out in panic. "First, sirs, you got the wrong guy. I just came from the distant western lands. I don't even know the former owner of this place. Don't take your revenge on me. I'm innocent." "Ha ha, little brother. You misunderstand. We didn't come for revenge." The middle-aged man smiled. Zhuofan shouted again. "Did you come to rob then? Oh God. I heard Flying Cloud City's security was solid. How did it come to this?" The middle-aged man's face twitched. "Robbery? Revenge would be better. Little brother, listen to me. Big brother, sir, you can see that I'm a meager radiant stage cultivator, not worth anything in Flying Cloud City. I only have my son with me, and nothing of value to you. I know I bought a former Flying Cloud Manor guard's house, but I'm not rich. I'm actually dirt poor." Zhuofan kept cutting the man's explanation, crying and whining. Chapter 860, Best Clan in Eastern Lands. Chapter 860, Best Clan in Eastern Lands. Proofreader, Papatonks. Eyes twitching. The man looked at himself, then at the rows of men on either side. "Tell me, do we look like robbers?" The people shook their heads with a genial smile. "Clan head, don't listen to this civilian's nonsense. What does a radiant stage cultivator know?" "Yeah, clan head, just ignore him. Sir's brilliant martial renown is above thievery. He's just scared to death and babbles on." Yeah, indeed." They all agreed, looking at Zhuofan in disdain and disregard. "You don't have to say that." The middle-aged man shook his hand, turning to Zhuofan. "By barging into this man's home, we invite suspicion of being less than we are. This is excusable. But we are righteous men, forced by circumstances to resort to such debased methods, making us look like killers and criminals. How are we any different then from Shangguan Feiyun that betrayed our clan, our greatest shame?" Clan head is wise. They all stood and bowed to the middle-aged man. The man nodded and smiled. "Little brother, to be honest, we've barged into your peaceful abode from lack of choice. I hope you could let us seek refuge for a few days. I would be most grateful. The middle-aged man stood up and bowed a little to Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan nodded inwardly. Regardless of methods, he knows how to win someone over, fishing for compliments while also being very wise and worthy of respect. In any case, quite remarkable for a leader. As for the rest, glancing at the extras, Zhuo Fan scrunched his nose, waving his hands like a victim. Big brother, you already have your blade on our necks. I have no choice but to give you shelter. Even drag me through the latrine if you want to. The middle-aged man burst out and the rest laughed. Little brother, no need to be so tense. We'll be gone soon. We're not here to hurt you, just borrowing. Who would believe that? Any one of you is stronger than me and can kill me with your thumb. Zhuo Fan complained. Big brother, where do you come from? You want to know who we are? Someone shouted at Zhuo Fan's question, scaring him back and hugging young Sanzi close, glaring at the speaker. The middle-aged man smiled. There's no point in hiding it. We're from the Eastern Lands. Eastern Lands. Zhuo Fan pondered, then sighed. When I was hunted down in the Western Lands, I thought of going through the Central area to flee to Eastern Lands, but I'm glad I didn't. It seems Eastern Lands isn't any better than Western Lands for all you experts to resort to this. Eastern Lands must be in dire straits. The middle-aged man almost spat blood, bearing a crestfallen look. Little brother, after all I've said, you still see us as robbers? How could I? Zhuo Fan panicked. How could I see heroes like yourselves as mere robbers? You're temporary guests, borrowing and taking for now. If this becomes permanent, I won't mind it either. The middle-aged man's face sunk, holding his head and sighed. This great and known clan head was now seen by a little guy as nothing more than a murderer and thief. If Eastern Lands heard it, all the sects would laugh shortly after. Bright laughter echoed, followed by a familiar girl. Father, I told you not to see him. He's a petty guy with a nasty tongue, completely opposite of your righteous character. Look at you, a Genesis stage expert angered to the extreme by mere words. Why is that? Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan looked to see the mystery girl from before, entering with a handsome youth behind her staring at them with sharp eyes. He was young and already in the soul harmony stage. He'd be a worthy candidate for the title of the best if this was the Western Lands' uncle. The guy bowed before the middle-aged man, ignoring Zhuo Fan as he returned behind the girl. The middle-aged man chuckled, turning to Zhuo Fan. Do you know my daughter, little brother? Zhuo Fan bobbed his head with a lost look. I heard she's your cousin. With a sinister smile, the middle-aged man laughed. Since I'm her father, that makes me your uncle. An uncle here came to visit his kin, not rob. Is this easier to accept? Ha ha ha. Ugh. Zhuo Fan gave him a long look, then chuckled inwardly. This guy is a man of principles, but not pedantic, looking to justify himself. First you take our house, and now you write it off as a family visit. How amusing. Big brother. It's uncle. Sighing, Zhuo Fan put on a strained face as the middle-aged man tried to become Zhuo Fan Sr. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes and returned to the main topic. Us two come from Western Lands and only found the girl wounded just as we bought the house. I'm an alchemist and I saved your daughter's life. In the end, when the guards came to search us, your daughter threatened me to bluff my way out, even using my Gu name. It's dangerous enough to hold one person. But now, will all of you unknown people in my house if you're found? I understand your concern. The middle-aged man waved with a stern face. Little brother, I know everything from Yenner. As a father, I'm most grateful for sheltering her and saving her life. But our operation has countless lives in Eastern Lands at stake. Success is a must. While some decisions are not to my liking, I still have to make them. We must take your house, because we can't find any better place to stay. You know as well how tight security has become. Because of you, Yenner is now a member of this household. Whether you like it or not, she is above suspicion. Zhuo Fan choked. Are you saying you'll silence us? That's not it at all. I just hope you will work with us and not force us to resort to such vile acts. The middle-aged man sighed. We won't do anything to you. Just keep you here at most. Once our business is done, we'll be out of your hair. But if you wish to work with us, it will make our interactions easier. Since you're my nephew, right? Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan hesitated as he looked at Gu Santong. considering his child's safety first. But how can I believe you won't hurt us? With the name of the famed Shangguan clan. The middle-aged man's eyes shone. Zhuo Fan cried out. Shangguan clan? The same best clan in Eastern lands? Yes, I am Shangguan clan's clan head, Shangguan Feixiong, the middle-aged man declared, then pointed at the girl in youth. She is my daughter, Shangguan Qingyan, and my nephew, Shangguan Yulan. Everyone else is a venerable or elder of the Shangguan clan. Shaking, Zhuo Fan could hardly believe the best clan of Eastern lands' entire experts were here en masse. That means that Shangguan Feiyun, one of the 9 Sword Kings, is your younger brother. Shangguan Feixiong gnashed his teeth. But ever since he betrayed Eastern lands, casting his lot with invincible sword, I no longer have a brother. We came here to take back the Eastern lands' treasure he stole. Little brother, I hope, on account of the alliance between the 4 areas, that you'd help hide us. Zhuo Fan's heart sank, looking into Shangguan Feixiong's wise eyes, and nodded. Don't worry, uncle, we're all on the same side. I will definitely help the Shangguan clan succeed. Wait, what? His heroic valor got Shangguan Feixiong to nod in reflex. But then he cried out, startled. What did you call me? Zhuo Fan scratched his nose with a chuckle. Uncle, didn't you see yourself as such? Did you forget already? Zhuo Fan patted Gu Santong's head proudly. Young Sanzi, we're hailing for a renowned clan. Once we return with uncle to Eastern lands, none shall pick on us. We'll see if they dare lay a finger on us after uttering the name Shangguan. We're no longer vagrants. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Let's also go slaughter Western lands later. Kill all our pursuers. Gu Santong bobbed his cute head. Bearing a nasty smirk, everyone else looked on, speechless. 4 crying out loud. One moment they were scared like mice, and now they have no shame with power behind them. Chapter 861. Opportune Nephew. Chapter 861. Opportune Nephew. Proofreader. Papatonks. Everyone looked dumbstruck at the crass father-son pair. What's wrong with these two? They have yet to come from old money and power, yet they're acting more obnoxiously than a clan with a deep heritage. What? Drop the Shangguan clan's name around so no one will pick on you. I bet you're planning the opposite, to use the name to pick on people. We came from the renowned Shangguan clan in the Eastern lands, but we're educated and no honor. We definitely won't let some disrespectful guys like you ruin our good name. Everyone turned to Shangguan Feixiong, clan head. You started it. Now finish it. Shangguan Feixiong shook his head, his face twitching. There was no way he would just accept someone as his nephew. He only used it as a leverage to become friends. But how was he to know there was such a brazen guy in the world, trying to leverage him instead? He's just a punk? I didn't think the owner of the house would be a bastard. As everyone had nothing but contempt for the two, Shangguan Qingyan laughed. Having been around them the past few days, this Missy had gotten quite friendly, or maybe she understood them the best seeing them declare this with a straight face. She liked it. Hey, how about you become my real cousin? Zhuo Fan turned to her and shook his head. Who the hell would? It's that I don't have a choice. Shangguan Feixiong would be pissed if she could hear him. Oh please, for me to accept you as one is the greatest fortune of your lifetime. It's leapfrogging into power, yet you freaking shun it? You're nothing but a moron. Which was a moot point since he didn't know where to begin. He only felt that taking this pair into his fold would be the greatest mistake of his life, but as the leader, his word was gold. Once spoken, he couldn't just take it back. He sighed. Then you will become Shangguan clan's front, blocking the Flying Cloud Manor's investigation. When we all go to Eastern lands, you'll be rewarded for your efforts. Yes, uncle. With a genial smile, Zhuo Fan was open in his attempts. Shangguan Feixiong only felt pain instead. He looked from his real nephew, showing valor and attitude, then at the new one. With a shrewd gaze and wretched looking he'd better brace himself for when he returned home for a world of humiliation sighing. Shangguan Feixiong waved his hand, tired like never before. Since we're now in understanding, you are dismissed. Shangguan Feixiong stood and walked towards the backyard. Uncle, let me get you a nice room. Zhuo Fan skipped next to him. Like the most obvious toad there was, beaming, ha ha ha, allow your nephew to lead you. No, We already got our rooms. You just have to play your part. Shangguan Feixiong shunned him. Zhuo Fan just didn't know when to quit. How can I? I have to do my duty for the family. Screw your duty. That was just a blunder of mine. Rolling his eyes, Shangguan Feixiong wanted to push Zhuo Fan away, but Zhuo Fan stuck with him with his nauseatingly sweet flatteries. It only vexed the clan head more. Bam. With a sudden sound, Zhuo Fan was suddenly pushed back hard. Looking up, he found the genuine cousin there. Shangguan Yulin gave him a cold gaze, then took Shangguan Feixiong's arm and left. This time he didn't refuse. The rest shrugged at the event, mocking Zhuo Fan as they left. It just so happened that some of the mockery reached the duo's ears. Humph, a social climber who doesn't know when to quit. Shangguan clan will be shamed now, having these thugs. Exactly, but what can you do? They just got lucky to meet us when we need them. Haha. The name of Shangguan clan is enough for these fools for several lifetimes. Gu Santong clenched his fists, but Zhuo Fan pulled him back. Young Sanzi, now I'm your real aunt. Hi. Shangguan Qingyan skipped over with glee, holding young Sanzi's face with a smile. Young Sanzi looked at her with a cold gaze and slapped her hands away. You're no aunt of mine. Gu Santong gave her the cold shoulder as he left Zhuo Fan side inside. Invincible Scamp had never been so humiliated in his life. It's all for the sake of the mission. Maybe I should have just left him with Kuanping. He's too young and Kuanping won't touch him yet. There at least he's king. I shouldn't make choices for young Sanzi, whether good or wrong. Shangguan Qingyan looked stunned. What's with young Sanzi? Did I say something? It's not you. You know kids, so volatile. Don't mind it. Zhuo Fan went after Gu Santong. I'll look after him. See you. Seeing them go, Shangguan Qingyan looked concerned. A tall man loomed from behind. Shangguan Yulin, smiling at her lost look. Cousin, what are you looking at? I was just wondering why young Sanzi looked so annoyed. Annoyed? Ha. For a pair of greedy people, getting into Shangguan clan should be a moment of celebration. What's there to be annoyed about? Shangguan Yulin sneered. Shangguan Qingyan glared at him. What do you know? They aren't like that. No? They just acted like brazen and obnoxious people. Anyone could see it. Why is it only you taking their side? You don't know anything. Shangguan Qingyan flicked her head away in annoyance. I've been around them for the past days and they're kind and cherish one another, and not power-hungry people. If they were, they'd long since reported me to Flying Cloud Manor. That's because they were weak, afraid you'd kill them. No, they were never afraid or tense around me. In fact, they always had biting remarks, pissing me off. Shangguan Qingyan was firm. They have their own problems. The jeers and harsh tones are only a front. Don't misunderstand them. Cousin, why do you always side with others? They're no others. Haven't you heard Dad calling Sergu nephew? That's just the shameless punk trying to squeeze his way into the clan. Uncle is a man of virtue, not for someone like that thug to get close to. I told you, don't judge a book by its cover. Shangguan Qingyan glared and left. Shangguan Yulin's eyes flashed with anger. His fists clenched. I'll deal with you soon, you damn bastards. Just you wait. Zhuo Fan was back in his room and saw Gu Santong on the bed with sad look as he lay on the pillow. Zhuo Fan patted his back and chuckled. What's wrong, brat? Angry? Ha. Think about it. They mock us for our weakness. It's this weakness that will drop their guard and earn their trust. That when we use them to punch through, we're deceiving them. We should be the one laughing at them. Those morons. Ha. Gu Santong began after a long pause. We're being watched by 5 soul harmony experts, not 100 meters away. I know. We're outsiders, so of course they won't believe us. They fear we'll snitch. But they're wrong. Don't you think having 5 of them watching us is kind of small? Zhuo Fan showed a devious grin. Winking at Gu Santong, Gu Santong smiled at last. Yeah, I can deal with 5 in one punch. Meanwhile, Shangguan Feixiong entered into a dark room. 3 elders were already here. Sitting on the bed with eyes closed. Feixiong, what is it? One spoke, bowing. Shangguan Feixiong's tone was respectful. Venerables, the owner of the house is a nobody. He even has an 8-year-old son. We can relax for now and deal with Feiyun. Good. We'll use this foothold to make a second ambush. One elder shouted. This time, we will take the divine weapon back to Eastern lands. Chapter 862. Just wait. Chapter 862. Just wait. Proofreader. Papatonks. Morning, seniors. Ha ha ha. Bright and early, Shuafan and young Sanzi were heading towards the door and were startled to see someone already there. But that didn't stop him from greeting with a smile. The exit had guards in place, soul harmony experts with mighty auras glancing over. The two men put their hand out, blocking the way. Shuafan looked at them puzzled as they mocked, "Sorry, Sir Gu, you're the clan head's nephew. For your safety, it's best you stay inside." "Oh, I see. Now I'm someone of value. Ha ha ha." Shuafan gave a strained laugh. "You're taking our safety very seriously, I see." Why thank you." Bobbing his face with a bright smile, Shuafan took young Sanzi back. Not thinking of leaving again, the men held nothing but disdain for the two. Gu Santong looked bleak, gnashing his teeth. "Damn these bastards, they take our home and now are locking us in." "Easy now, young Sanzi. Didn't I tell you already? Yesterday was going to be our last day of leisure." With a sinister smile, Shuafan continued, "Which works best for us. They want to keep us here, so we'll use this to see their every move. Once they act and fight with the flying cloud manner, we'll be sure to reap the rewards, completing our mission." Gu Santong nodded, but that didn't mean he liked it. With these cowards, who knows how long we'll be stuck here before that happens. Ha ha, these blokes won't last long. The more they wait, the more dangerous it gets. They're more desperate than us to finish and go home. Rubbing Gu Santong's head, Shuafan's eyes shone, feeling in complete control of everything. "All we have to do now is just wait." Gu Santong sighed a nod. "Let's go back to our cell." "Not like I haven't done it in Tianyu. Did you come from outside?" The two were startled by a bright voice. Turning around, they saw the young miss. First came her unique fragrance, then Shangguan Qingyan's graceful figure. Seeing Gu Santong, she went for a hug, pinching his cheeks. "Young Sanzi, did you miss Annie last night?" Shuafan rolled his eyes. "Hey lady, it's only been a night, not years. Not even your relatives will miss you. And you're not close to young Sanzi anyway. Who'd ever miss you?" Gu Santong was of the same mind. Judging by that cold look, who'd ever miss you? Ugh. That one went straight to her heart as Shangguan Qingyan showed a bitter smile. "Young Sanzi, you're still so stubborn. Let go of me. I'm going back to sleep." Gu Santong huffed. Looking elsewhere, Shangguan Qingyan was stumped. "Why is he so cold to me and angry? Who is he angry at?" Glancing at Shuafan, he chuckled. "Don't mind it. He's just being a brat. I promised to take him out to play, but you know how I'm now a new man, with the clan worried for my safety. So I have to stay inside for now, and the child. They're holding you here." Shangguan Qingyan exploded. "This is your home, and we're just guests. How can they do this? That's just crossing the line." "Humph, Shangguan clan isn't so shameless. Young Sanzi, don't worry, Andy here will take you out." Shangguan Qingyan carried Gu Santong as she marched for the door. A woman on a crusade. Shuafan smirked, enjoying the show that followed. "Young miss." The two men bowed before Shangguan Qingyan. Unlike how they treated Shuafan, Shangguan Qingyan barked. "What do you think you're doing? This is the Gu household. So why are you stopping the two of them? Are you settling in the role of robbers, taking another's home? Have you forgotten all the values Shangguan clan stands for?" "Young miss, please." The two bowed again, feeling conflicted. It's clan head's order. We're just the messengers. Shangguan Qingyan's brow shook. "Dad? No way." He clearly said to look after the father and son, to be friendly. He even sees him as nephew. Yeah. It must be that clan head was worried for his new nephew that he didn't want him to go out. The town isn't safe, bullshit. Shangguan Qingyan cut them off with her outburst. "You can't lie to me. They have nothing to do with the Shangguan clan. No one's after them in Flying Cloud City. You're just trapping them here. Humph. I brought you all here, and this is what you do? It is my duty to hold the true owner of this house's side. Now shove off. I'm taking young Sanzi and Serjua for a walk." Frowning, the two were very conflicted. Indecisive, Shuafan looked from the side. He wanted Shangguan clan to pave his way, but it wasn't bad making waves and stirring things up either, less some guy from the Shangguan clan wanted to push him around. If he didn't stand out, he'd suffer. This noise came at the best time. showing everyone Shangguan clan's young miss was on their side and scaring off some bored chaps looking for trouble. Zhuo Fan simply watched the show unfold with a hidden smile as the situation became tense. A shout came. "Cousin, uncle is calling you. The Gu father and son can come as well." The two men sighed. The clan head finally asked for young miss. It was getting a bit too tense for them, having to choose between duty and respect. "I'll go see Dad, and then we'll go out." Glaring at them, Shangguan Qingyan hugged Gu Sanong as she went. "Sir Gu, we'll explain it all to Dad." Zhuo Fan nodded, walking behind her. Bam! Something blocked his view then. Knocking into it and stumbling 5 steps back, it was Shangguan Yulin. Zhuo Fan sneered inside. "Here it comes, making it hard on me. First last night and now today. He's clearly looking for trouble." Shangguan Qingyan was enraged, holding Gu Santong as she went. While oblivious to Zhuo Fan's predicament, Shangguan Yulin watched her go, then mocked Zhuo Fan. "Stay away from young miss. Wretched social climbers like you two won't get anywhere." Shangguan Yulin left after that. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, staring hard at him. Then he shook his head. Such are clansmen, empty of talent, yet full of conceit and petty. While you're looking after the Shangguan clan's name, I have a way bigger goal in mind. Zhuo Fan shook his head before going as well. People gathered into the parlor, where Shangguan Qingyan and Shangguan Feixiong were already present. Seeing her dad, Shangguan Qingyan started whining. "Ha ha ha, all right, I was only thinking of the two's safety. I'll make sure to berate those insensible men." Shangguan Feixiong was a leader after all, easily handling this trifle. Then he turned to Zhuo Fan. "Yifan, you're part of the Shangguan clan now and must shoulder the burden. None of us can walk outside, and the task of gathering information falls to you. Qingyan, Yulin, you'll provide assistance in the light and in shadows." Shangguan Qingyan lit up. "Then young Sanzi can go outside?" "Of course." Shangguan Feixiong smiled. "I said that they misunderstood my intention. I never wanted to hold the two here." "Great." Shangguan Qingyan cheered, hugging young Sanzi close. Young Sanzi was also smiling, only Zhuo Fan had a calculative look. Chapter 863. Only Him. Chapter 863. Only Him. Proofreader. Papatonks. A family of 3 was seen walking down the bustling street. The picture of happiness. Zhuo Fan and Shangguan Qingyan held Gu Santong's hands between them. The image of the parents taking their child to play earned the jealousy of many, especially from bachelors, and even more so from a certain shadow from a certain corner. Gnashing his teeth with bloodshot eyes, Shangguan Feixiong had them go out to gather info, since everyone else was too conspicuous with their build and aura. The Flying Cloud City's guards would find them on the spot, being in the radiant stage and ethereal stage. The lovely family blended naturally in the urban jungle, raising no eyebrows and no warning. Even the Shangguan Yulin, a fresh soul harmony stage cultivator, found nothing wrong with this picture. The 4 of them thus went out as scouts, making it look easy. Which it was, since no one minded a few ants. They acted on 2 fronts, Shangguan Yulin in the shadows, while the family in the open, which was the only choice since Zhuo Fan was recorded to be the owner of that house. Shangguan Yulin was a vagrant, and while the patrol might ignore his cultivation, the papers showed he wasn't on them. So what could an undeclared bachelor supposed to do? Slunk from the shadows with tears of jealousy streaming down his cheeks at others' happiness. "Dad, that one?" "Here." "Auntie, I want one." "Here." "Dad, Auntie, I want everything. Give me all of them." Zhuo Fan and Shangguan Qingyan looked quite happy holding Gu Santong's hands. Only Shangguan Yulin was their complete opposite. The worst thing wasn't seeing the person he admired being with another man, but being unable to block it. This helplessness was driving Shangguan Yulin nuts. Who told him to be a vagrant anyway? All that a shadow could do was just bottle it up. Dang. The sudden sounds of a gong captured the people's attention, and the family of 3 approached the source. It was an announcement, with a soul harmony stage guard banging the gong with all gathered. The man hemmed before announcing, "People of Flying Cloud City, take heed. A message from the Imperial Capital. Sword Star Empire's best talent, His Highness the Crown Prince, has suffered from cultivation deviation, and his Dantian is ruined. Countless alchemists had lent a hand, but nothing they did helped. Now we are welcoming any and all alchemists from all over to the Imperial Capital to consult. If any of you have the skills, you can report to the Flying Cloud Manor. After careful screening, we will then recommend you to Imperial Capital. Whether you can heal Crown Prince or not, your future will be assured. Don't let this chance pass you by. The crowd's eyes shone with ambition in the central area. There were no sects, only the Sword Star Empire ruling supreme. Getting a job in the Imperial Capital would set them for life. Whispers spread around, with many looking excited, like they were bound to win. Fan just squinted in thought. Whether the Crown Prince's situation is real or not, it's also a great chance to slip into Flying Cloud Manor. Getting an early grasp of the terrain and assets would make his mission that much easier. Cousin. Shangguan Qingyan looked excited, but she didn't speak before making sure there was no one around. We've been walking for a while now. Let's go back. Young Sanzi must be tired. Eyeing her, Zhuofan knew exactly what she wanted. To report, Zhuofan nodded, and they went back. A sudden shadow flashed by them after a few steps, vanishing them from the street and taking them into a dark corner. Shangguan Qingyan asked, "Cousin, you go back with the child. I need Brother Gu for a moment." Shangguan Yulin was tense. "I saw some people from Flying Cloud Manor moving around in secret, but I can't do much as I am. I want Brother Gu to cover for me to investigate." Shangguan Qingyan took it at face value and nodded. "All right, but you have to stay safe, cousin. You must bring Sir Gu back safely. He's just a radiant stage cultivator. Anyone can beat him. Don't worry, cousin. He'll be back safe and sound." With resentment in his eyes, Shangguan Yulin put on a smile. Shangguan Qingyan chuckled, while Zhuofan could read more into it, though too curious about his plan to expose him. Shangguan Qingyan took Gu Santong back while Shangguan Yulin grabbed Zhuofan's arm towards a forest with a brutal gaze. Flying Cloud Manor is recruiting alchemists. Shangguan Qingyan started at the news, then turned serious. "Yenner, is this true?" Shangguan Qingyan nodded, blurting, "Yes, the whole street heard it." "Then it must be real." Shangguan Feixiong's eyes flashed. "This is our best chance to get into the manor. But what if it's a trap?" Shangguan Feixiong then looked around. "Where's Yulin?" Cousin found clues into the manor and wanted Gu Yifan to cover for him. Yulin has always been level-headed. He must have his reasons for doing this. Gu Yifan will be fine with him. Shangguan Feixiong squinted, mulling over this information before walking outside. He went to a familiar room, where the three old men sat bowing. Shangguan Feixiong made his report and added, "I'm yet unclear if this is a chance or a trap. Danger and opportunity often walk hand in hand." An elder spoke, "Regardless, this is our chance to scout the manor. It's far better than going in head first. We lost too many last time, with even your daughter suffering a heavy wound, threatening her life. We shouldn't have taken the kids with us." Shangguan Feiyun shook his head. "Venerable, the Shangguan clan isn't afraid of death, nor are we conceited. The same goes for my daughter. I brought them along because Shangguan Feiyun doesn't know them, but can keep a lookout for us. Last time they followed our trail and attacked our base, scattering the kids. But this time we're thorough and won't be as dangerous." "I hope so." The elder sighed. "We were indifferent to having them at first, coming to the central area with the intent to take the divine weapon even in death. But they are still young. They are the future of the Eastern lands. I can't bear to see them go." Shangguan Feixiong nodded. Another elder spoke. "Second, none of us can leave if we want to now. Why talk about it then? Our goal is to find where the divine weapon is located. The fact that it recruits alchemists is a chance for us, regardless of anything. But who can we entrust with infiltrating the manor? None of us can go, since even after 100 years since Shangguan Feiyun left Eastern lands, he'd still remember us. No matter how we try to hide, he'll find us." Shangguan Feixiong frowned. "That means we can only give it to a junior. But who among them has the alchemical skills to get into the manor?" The men shook their heads. "Our clan has many talents in cultivation, but none in alchemy." "Yeah? Alchemy is related to cultivation, skill, and arts to become a grandmaster." The elder sighed. "Alchemists will flock to Flying Cloud Manor with this announcement. Without the power of a soul harmony stage, it's difficult to stand out." "We can only have Yulin try," Shangguan Feixiong muttered. The three elders nodded helplessly. "He may not be an alchemist. He's the only choice among the juniors." Chapter 864, 50-Mile Plan. Chapter 864, 50-Mile Plan. Proofreader, Papatonks. Does that mean the Crown Prince's situation is a lie? In a wide and lavish hall, sparkling with wealth, a handsome man sat in the seat of honor. With a teacup in hand, his eyes crackled with lightning as he looked at the seat left of him, the calm and smiling youth. There looked like even a slight breeze would topple him, lacking the bold air a man would have, though his eyes told another story, making the middle-aged man turn serious and not disregard him. "Prime Minister, sir, what act are you enacting?" With a wide grin, the youth turned to the seat of honor. "Ha ha ha, that would be my line, Sword King Feiyun. 2 months ago, there was some loud ruckus coming from the hundreds of experts entering the manor. Why is it that the Sword King didn't inform the imperial capital? One of them was the best in Eastern lands, now turned traitor, Shangguan Feiyun, and the other Sword Star Empire's Prime Minister, Bailey Jingwei. One of the very few able to wield power equal to 9 Sword Kings. Bailey Jingwei came from the very distant imperial capital and straight to Flying Cloud Manor. The moment he entered, he ordered the guards to announce alchemist recruitment for the Crown Prince's situation. Now he was saying it was all fake. Shangguan Feiyun was pissed, to say the least, as well as the youth ordering everyone around like this was his own home. "Hey, I get you're the Prime Minister, but then you come to my turf and start barking orders to my men." It was fine if it was critical, but this here was some baffling ploy, and the suddenness of it all, and without a word, made him feel that he was played with. Anyone would be angry at this point, just some minor vermin I had to deal with. There was no need informing the imperial capital of this trifle. Shangguan Feiyun eyed him coldly, then looked to the right seat. By telling the imperial capital all that crops up will make the 9 Sword Kings look incompetent. Wouldn't you say so, Brother Danqing? Drinking from a yellow gourd without a care, at Shangguan Feiyun's question, the man stopped drinking, belching. Danqing Shan rubbed his red nose, feeling tipsy. "Brother Feiyun, this is between you and Prime Minister Bailey, not me. You guys talk it out and don't involve me. I'm just an escort. I still have to get Prime Minister to Imperial capital safely. Ha ha ha. Thank you, Dragon-Cleaving Sword King, but I'm sure the trip will be quiet and won't disturb you." Bailey Jingwei leaned a bit and nodded before turning to the host. "Shangguan Feiyun, don't mince words. If those were but small thieves 2 months ago, why is it that the guards are looking tense and silent? Why else would you have asked Dragon-Cleaving Sword King for protection?" Shangguan Feiyun's eyes shook. His mood sinking. Bailey Jingwei stood up and smiled. "Sword King and I are more than clear that it was the Shangguan clan who was behind it. Their goal is to take back the same treasure you brought from Eastern lands, the Soaring Sword. Patriarch had long since wanted to gather the other area's divine swords. Sword King's feat is truly commendable. Patriarch would be most pleased at the news. Taking Patriarch's stead, allow me to bow to you, Sword King. Thank you for donating the sword." Bailey Jingwei bowed to Shangguan Feiyun. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes shook. Somewhat touched by the perfect bow of the youth, Bailey Jingwei stood up with a flat look. "However, Patriarch is in seclusion and is unaware of this matter, needing me to take the sword. Wouldn't Patriarch's joy plunge knowing that in this time the divine sword ended up stolen? He would surely explode. Humph, are you using the invincible sword to threaten me?" Shangguan Feiyun slammed the table and shouted. Bailey Jingwei shook his head with a sigh. The Patriarch himself appointed Sword King Feiyun as a Sword King, together with the imperial family. This is not my intention at all. I'm only extrapolating. When Patriarch is angry, it won't be just a Sword King affected, but the entire empire. I only ask for help in the matter of the Crown Prince. He cannot set foot outside, his grave situation having spread to the entire central area, all to help the Sword King remove all thieves and secure the divine sword. It affects both of us, and cooperation is most advised. Eyeing him, Shangguan Feiyun pondered as his rage subsided. What good would spreading this do? They're no fools to fall for it and attack Flying Cloud Manor. Ha ha ha, it's all right, Sword King. I'm certain that as we screen alchemists, we'll be trapping the Shangguan thieves. Snickering, Bailey Jingwei's eyes flashed. People don't do crime out of stupidity, but out of greed. Greed is humanity's most base trait. None can escape its clutches. I know from their first ambush of the manor they suffered heavy casualties. The second ambush would fail if they come without a plan, but it will also make it less likely to end them all, so it's better to give them a chance to slip in, luring them with the sword by screening alchemists. Once they come, we will trap them like rats, with none coming out alive. This will cripple the power of Eastern lands by damaging the top clan. It will prove beneficial for our future advancement into Eastern lands. Shangguan Feiyan looked at him hard and nodded. Prime Minister wants not just the soaring sword, but to take precautions for when you attack Eastern lands. Haha, didn't I tell you? Greed is the basest trait of humans, one that even I can't escape from. Bailey Jingwei's eyes glinted with wisdom. This is the perfect moment to shoot two birds with one stone. Shangguan Feiyun nodded. I am in awe of Prime Minister's wisdom. But the Shangguan clan has no alchemists. Would they take the bait? It's because it doesn't fit them, which makes it more real and enticing. Bailey Jingwei said, worry not. Paving the way to people in crisis will only scare them away. The harder the journey, the more they'll consider it. Sir Sword King, I ask that you give me the power to command the guards, loosen security, and recall patrols. I promise by this time next fortnight, all the rats will be found and removed. Shangguan Feiyun gave his accord. Bailey Jingwei showed a pleased smile. Sir Sword King, I heard the manor has a true marvel, no less than the imperial capital's ringing thunder temple. May I see it? Prime Minister, you're most welcome. The guards will take you. Shangguan Feiyun nodded. Bailey Jingwei bowed and walked. Thank you. Dragon-cleaving Sword King, don't you want to look as well? Ha ha ha, I'm only into books, painting, and wine. Prime Minister may enjoy himself alone. Bailey Jingwei turned to Danqing Shun, who waved him off as he drank. Bailey Jingwei shook his head and left. Ha ha ha, what a shame. Books and paintings are tied to marvels of nature. When he was gone, Shangguan Feiyun squinted and sighed. Brother Danqing, see that? Look how much Bailey Jingwei and even the imperial capital revere us, and now look at all the spies they placed around. The minute something happens, the imperial capital is bound to know it the next. Humph, and they call us 9 Sword Kings. We're nothing more than generals in the army. Danqing Shun shook his head and sighed. It doesn't matter how many spies are there, as long as I can keep it safe. I never peg you for an idealist, wanting to build utopia. I didn't follow Invincible Sword for an insipid and useless title like Sword King, but to stand next to the strongest, to find my own land. Shangguan Feiyun's eyes flashed. The day will come when I'll wield the soaring sword and rule Eastern lands. Danqing Shun put down the wine and mocked. Eastern lands as ruler? Don't let fantasy consume you. The day will come when the whole world will be sword star empires. We'll be nothing more than some governor of a slice at the most. Not rulers. That's you. Shangguan Feiyun glared at him. I won't, absolutely won't. Chapter 865, Backstab. Chapter 865, Backstab. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. Deep in a thick forest, 2 shadows cut through the trees, before finally stopping and revealing their features. One, looking imposing and having sharp features, with soul harmony stage aura, was Shangguan Yulin. The other, looking plain yet having deep eyes, was Zhua Fan. Looking ahead, Zhua Fan feigned puzzlement when seeing the bamboo. Cousin, what's odd here? I can't see anything out of place. Who the hell's your cousin? This rotten bastard knows only how to claw his way up through another's power. That's why she fell for his fancy speech. Shangguan Yulin rolled his eyes, but didn't show his anger. Brother Gu, when I watched the guards, I thought I saw them pass through here. I couldn't look alone, so I brought you along. If you meet them, just say you're here for the view. Ha ha. Really? But I don't see any signs of people around. Zhua Fan frowned, his eyes darting around. Shangguan Yulin pushed him lightly with a vile smile as he enticed. Look ahead. There's definitely some guards here. Go see what they're doing and help report to Uncle for merit. Then I shall. Zhua Fan took slow steps walking forward. Shangguan Yulin, however, did the opposite, getting some distance and watching Zhua with a cold gaze. There was even some bloodthirst mixed in there. Who? Shangguan Yulin sent a sudden palm to Zhua Fan's back. Zhua Fan cried out. He knew Shangguan Yulin was up to something, but not so soon. He wasn't the only one in this, but the entire Shangguan clan's safety would be affected. If something happened to the Gu family of Flying Cloud City, The manner would definitely investigate it next was obvious, fleeing like rats, especially now when they were at their weakest. Shangguan Yulin was no moron to not realize the consequences. Zhuo Fan frowned, stuck in hesitation. To dodge or not? Dodging would expose his level, and he might have to silence the kid. But he'd also had to make up a damn good excuse to avoid Shangguan clan's suspicion. The other option, how was he to react if it hit? As a radiant stage, ethereal stage, or soul harmony stage cultivator? Well, his body was as tough as a soul harmony expert. Now the problem wasn't the hit, but what came after. Well, he'd just wing it. If found out, killing him is still on the table. Zhuo Fan's vexation was unrelated to his safety, but his reaction. Shangguan Yulin would have been so pissed if he knew he was a strong and outstanding member of the Shangguan clan's younger generation, widely known throughout Eastern lands. Now this pipsqueak didn't give a whit about the backstab, but how to fool him instead. The fact he entertained the thought of silencing him as well was what really took the cake. How conceited can you get? Not that it mattered, since it was all hypothetical. Who? Zhuo Fan looked stunned for a moment, then reacted, sensing the biting wind on his back. It won't take the life of a radiant stage cultivator as it is. He's not out to kill me at least, but wound me. Let's play along. And then? Zhuo Fan made a plan and struck his body, giving himself a flesh wound and showing some blood from his mouth. Only then did Shangguan Yulin's palm strike. Bam. At least he got the timing right, spitting blood right as the attack hit and crumbling on the ground and feigned faint snickering like a fox. Shangguan Yulin muttered, "Damn bastard. I warned you to stay away from my cousin. You brought this on yourself." Humph. Shangguan Yulin walked over to Zhuo Fan, his right hand growing cold, sensing the chill behind him. Zhuo Fan was stumped. What's he trying to do now? Punk, don't think for a second that by being the Shangguan clan's cover, no one will touch you. With a cold glint in his eyes, Shangguan Yulin lifted his icy hand with a creepy grin. We may need you for cover and can't kill you, but that doesn't mean we can't hurt you. This crippling hand of mine is nothing fancy, but at least it leaves no tracks. I just need to press your major pressure points, and your meridians will rot. In 10 days, your yuan qi flow will fall. In 20 days, your cultivation will plunge. In a month, you'll be a full-fledged cripple. And the best part, you'll never know why. A cripple, even as part of the Shangguan clan, will have no right to be around cousin. Humph, what a joke. Ha. There's still clues leading to today, though. Aren't you scared Shangguan Feixiong will notice your rotten character and won't let his daughter around you? A heavy and gruff voice entered his ears. Not even that worked to wipe the smug smile off Shangguan Yulin's face. As if, since I thought it through. The punk didn't see who struck him. I'll just say we met with a patrol, and in the fight, he was backstabbed before bringing him back. Uncle might doubt his crippled status, but will think it had something to do with today's wound. He'll never place the blame on me. Haha dash, wait, who are you? Shangguan Yulin's laughter got stuck in his throat. Who said that? Hi, kid. Seeing you so devious, petty, greedy, immoral, and cocky, you're right in tune with my demonic path. Why not leave the Shangguan clan and join me down the path of evil? Whoosh. A shadow shrouded the sky, turning everything pitch black and cutting Shangguan Yulin off from reality. Shangguan Yulin panicked, domain soul. But then he mocked, you think you can contend with me, a soul harmony expert, by using a domain in the ethereal stage? Ha, you wish. I'll break it with this punch. Shangguan Yulin did just that, dragon-trapping chain. The voice came before he could finish the attack. Whoosh. Something huge slithered around his body and seeped into his body, and blocking his yuan qi in place, a great power fell on him, stopping him from even budging. Shangguan Yulin, a soul harmony expert, found himself trapped and cried, what is this? Hi, kid. The world is far and wide. Not all ethereal stage cultivators are weaker than soul harmony cultivators. You're too cocky. The creepy voice echoed around, filling Shangguan Yulin with fear. Who is he? How does he have such a strange skill? This never happened before. No soul harmony expert ended up trapped by a mere ethereal stage cultivator's domain soul. Shangguan Yulin's heart shivered with dread. Looking around, all he saw was darkness, and the unknown only fed his fears while he was blind as a bat. The other side saw clearly, smirking at Shangguan Yulin being squeezed by the chain. Shua Fan's eyes flashed with a toying gaze. His voice was gruff. Kid, I find your wretched and debased style reminding me of my olden days. Those were the days. I'll make an exception and take you in. So kowtow 100 times and call me master. Ha!